green flag flies, and we're racing in GRIDLIFE Touring Cup. Side by side.
Down the inside, 3 wide into 4.
Huge mess. Look at them. 5 cars on top of each other under a blanket. You can't see these 2 cars race against each other anywhere else.
GRIDLIFE Touring Cup action at its best, folks. How do you like this?
GRIDLIFE's long journey across the United States has traveled to almost every corner of the country. From its Midwestern beginnings to the Southeast and the Northeast, GRIDLIFE festivals have spread roots and grown since 2014. But for the first time, we've uprooted the show and transplanted our motorsports events and culture over 2,000 miles away from home. The road ends here at WeatherTech Raceway Laguna Seca. I'm Kyle Heyer alongside Greg Creamer. The road here may not have been paved with yellow bricks, but Greg, we're definitely not in Kansas anymore.
We most certainly are not, folks. This place, to a lot of people, is a mecca of motorsports. West Coast in particular, that's the sports car scene that blew up, and certainly for motorcycle racing. Now bringing GRIDLIFE in, the music festival combined with motorsports. This is unique, and we have a big crowd that has decided to come out and explore this, and that's what it's all about.
And the crowd will be growing all weekend long. Tomorrow's a big day here. Today we're just getting warmed up, though, with some GLTC qualifying, time attack, Rush SR Model 3 Challenge, and some drift. But, of course, this coverage of GRIDLIFE Laguna is brought to you by Hyundai. GRIDLIFE Live is powered by Hyundai N. Hyundai N. Never just drive. And Falcon, the official tire of GRIDLIFE Track Battle. And Eibach, race springs engineered to win. This racetrack is a very special place, Greg. It's 2.2 miles, 11 corners. Let's have a look here at our Hyundai N track preview. This will give us a bit of an idea of what this racetrack is as far as its layout. Originally constructed back in 1957. It has changed a bit since then, but a lot of the original character still remains.
It does. There's no question about that. It was in the mid-'80s when they added the middle section. Used to be you'd go into what is now the Andretti hairpin at turn 2, but go straight up the hill. They put in that whole inside section so that they could meet the minimum track length to have MotoGP come and race here. But it has created turn 5 now, Kyle. Hugely critical corner because look at the steepness of this climb. Turn 6, everybody talks corkscrew. Turn 6 is the trickiest corner on this entire track. This one is the iconic one.
Yeah, turn 7 and 8, better known as the corkscrew, an internationally known corner that is kind of right up with the likes of Radillon and Eau Rouge or the Dipper at Bathurst. The corkscrew is iconic. A 4-story drop from 7 to 8, a 10-story drop from 7 down to Rainy Curve at turn 9, and then turn 10, another very challenging corner to get right before that hairpin at 11.
Yeah, turn 10, you come out of Rainy really quickly. If you get that the corkscrew right in the entry, there's some banking to 10, so you can really throw the car in, chuck it in there with a lot more speed than you think. But then you got to get all the way over to the right or protect if somebody's right behind you because turn 11, probably the best passing zone, that and the entry into Andretti here. And there you can see that that corkscrew up at the top and that drop. And you're absolutely right. From the apex point at the corkscrew down to the exit of Rainy, 10-story drop and not much track distance here. Here's the other thing. Repaved just a couple of months ago, and what it's done, I'm really thrilled with the fact that they kept that compression dip in 6, which makes that such a tricky corner. But right here, where we're just seeing the cars go out of frame here, right where this car is coming right now, that used to be just a nice, easy roll, if you will, in terms of the slope. Now it's a bit more poignant, if you will. There's a little bit more rise and drop to it. Motorcycles were here. Moto America was here shortly after it was paved, and they said for the first time, if they didn't get off a throttle a little bit, they'd literally lift the wheels and do wheelies over that. So that little jump now is much more pronounced. And then you've got this glorious turn here, obviously the Andretti hairpin, named for a legend. There's a few of them here from 6 to 7, the Rahal Straight, and of course Rainy Curve after the MotoGP 500cc champion Wayne Rainey.
Yeah, so of course we've got GRIDLIFE Touring Cup qualifying coming up relatively shortly, but on track just before is Model 3 Challenge qualifying. Now, Greg, this is a new series that debuted this season at GRIDLIFE events. Let's talk a little bit about Model 3 Challenge and what it's all about. It's about being able to race or compete in Tesla Model 3 machinery, which are relatively affordable electric EVs that you can just buy as a normal car. But what drivers don't want to do necessarily is convert it completely to a race car. They want to still be able to street drive this and still enjoy competing on the racetrack in more than just a time attack environment. So what Model 3 Challenge has done is create a kind of a race group structure where you follow the car ahead of you. You start like a normal race, but you don't just get open passing. There's a passing zone, and when you're within a handful of car lengths of the car ahead, the car in front is required to point you by. So you kind of create this this kind of swapping position sort of thing that is somewhat like racing, somewhat like time attack, somewhat like HPDE. A pretty unique format in today's day and age, and I think a great way to blend wheel-to-wheel road racing without all the risks that come with that.
Well, it makes sense, doesn't it? I mean, these are Teslas, they're EVs, so what they're running here in this Model 3 Challenge is a hybrid competition format, and that's exactly what it is. And it allows you to really race. I mean, you can run somebody down. I mean, you're going after them. It's not just going for lap times. You're going for position on track, and you just have to get within that window. It's almost like getting within DRS in F1. You're within a second. Well, here it's within a number of car lengths, and if the guy in front gets into that zone, looks into the mirror and says, yeah, he's clearly in there, he's faster than I am, he has to point you by, thereby giving you an opportunity without risk. And that's where you don't need the roll cage and all of that to go by him, and then you can take off and try and chase down the competitor in front of you, and it's all about position.
Yeah, we're looking at getting a great look there at Tony Barber in the 333 car. That's the Turn-In Concepts machine. He's been right up at the front. This car has run time attack with GRIDLIFE before, but he's been at the forefront of this Model 3 Challenge rule set here. And down into the corkscrew, that 4-story drop over the crest. The great thing that these Teslas do well is they eliminate their weight by having all those batteries really low in the chassis. So you get a pretty good handling car despite it weighing north of 4,000 pounds. Now, all these cars run slightly pulled back power-wise to balance between the dual motors and the single motors and the front-wheel drive or the rear-wheel drive and all-wheel drive version. So they're pulled back a little bit from their max power, but they're balanced. All the different versions are balanced enough that they can race each other in this environment on a pretty level playing field.
And that makes it really interesting, doesn't it? With all that weight down low, and as you said, that low CG, they can really hustle the cars around. But because of that weight, you still have to accelerate it, and more importantly, de-accelerate it. With the instant on torque of an electric motor, when you go to throttle, it just goes. But you eventually got to slow down 2 tons of car, and it can really take a toll on the braking system.
Well, and they have that regenerative braking system as well that kind of, I guess it would almost be like a KERS in some way if you're relating it to Formula
Same
1.
idea.
Yeah, where you're basically capturing that energy and turning the motors into generators for a moment, recharging the battery system, but you're introducing a lot of mechanical drag. So that is a way to slow the car down without using the brakes. And on the road, you don't even really have to use them. You can drive them in what's called a one-pedal mode, where you just lift off the gas and it'll stop or get very close to stopping just by using that electrical energy or the inducing of the current to slow the car down. But what a spectacular racetrack this is. Visually, Greg, unbelievable climb from 6 up to 7.
Yeah, it's just incredible. You get up on top of the corkscrew, and just the view is spectacular. And then this iconic corner where you throw it in here, and then you just fall literally almost down the face of the earth here. And then you drop into Rainy. And there are a lot of different approaches to Rainy. Some people come out of the corkscrew, keep it just tight to the inside through Rainy. Others like to try and swing out, get a little bit better arc through there, use the banking, because Rainy's banked fairly heavily as well. So, there are those who like to run up high and just use the banking to help pitch them down in there. But you're running a lot more distance that way. Others just like to throw it in, catch the banking at just past the apex point, and just let go in on faith that you're going to catch that banking on exit. It's lots of different approaches here, but that's what makes it so fascinating, doesn't it? Is there's lots of different ways you can run around here, and in some of the corners on this place, it isn't just one line's fast. There are a couple of different ways you can drive it. One depending upon setup, and 2 depending upon just how you like to flow through a corner.
Right, and just some other tidbits that we know about how this format works and kind of the wear on the cars throughout the session. If you're curious how much battery you use, well, anywhere from 45 to 65% of the battery pack during one of these sessions, depending on if you've got the long-range battery or the standard range battery. Everyone's on 200 tread-wear tires or higher, and those tires are 285 millimeters in width or narrower. The modifications to compete in this category, brake pads, brake fluid, and the power limiting module to plug in so that everyone can be on the same page there. And heavily modified cars, you can have coilovers, sway bars, aluminum suspension arms, spherical bushings, big brake kits, wings, lips, and more. You can find the full rulebook on the Model3Challenge.com. WeatherTech.Racing website. Pretty interesting. If you've got a Model 3 and don't want to fully commit to building it into a caged race car, and then the question is, where do you race it?
Yeah.
This is a good place to be.
Yeah, not a lot of places with a fully caged Tesla that you can actually go out and run. So this is, again, gives you an opportunity to come out and really experience a lot of what door-to-door racing is about without some of that risk as you come down, just exiting 10 and then into 11. Again, one of the two best overtaking areas. You can certainly overtake into the corkscrew, but you need a massively good run out of turn 6. And I hope we get some good shots of 6 coming up here, because it's such a tricky corner, and it's, you know, we talked about how now turn 5, probably the most important turn on the track, because it starts that huge climb all the way up to the corkscrew.
Yep.
But right in the middle of it, and this track, even turn 11, you know, it makes sense in terms of the rhythm and flow of the track, right? You could just kind of, you know, roll around and it makes sense. Turn 6 is this sudden, just thrown in there, angular thing right there. We're seeing the exit of it, and right where that yellow curbing is, it's tough to see from this angle, but there's a compression dip, and if you get it wrong, it'll either pitch you right off to the outside of the track, or it'll just slow you up if you overslow, and then you're slow on the rest of this huge climb. So getting out of 5's incredibly important, but having the bravado to
yes.
just absolutely keep it full chat through 6 is crucial.
Yeah, you're leaning on your suspension a bunch there, and I think you mentioned to me earlier that if you've got enough travel, you're on the bump stops through here.
Oh yeah, it just what the motorcycle racers call it G's out, and it just completely compresses the suspension, and it's got to release at some point, right?
Yeah, actually, you can see where the pavement's ground away from splitters and wings and things. Right on the inside, right next to the curbing, the pavement's a little lighter.
Before they repaved it, that part of the track, it was shiny because it was so polished by car bottoms, flat bottoms, wings, everything else. So that's part of the deal. And here's the thing, the other aspect of this track that we really haven't talked about, Kyle, is the simple fact that they've repaved it, so there's more inherent grip. You know, this track used to be very low grip, the actual tarmac itself, because it's just been around forever and so polished. Now there's a lot more inherent grip, but it doesn't stop the sand from blowing onto the track. So you still have that same scenario when really lap by lap, the amount of grip you have going into and through a corner can change if it's a windy day and if somebody runs wide in front of you. All of those aspects here, that still comes into play. And it's one of the things that makes this a very unique venue. Is it's just tricky is the only way to put it.
There was only a couple hundredths of a second at the top of the board there, but it will be Tony Barber starting on pole for the Model 3 Challenge race a little bit later today. GLTC qualifying is up next, and cars are on track, and what an exciting time it is to share that we've got basically a full grid, so to speak. Over 40 cars have joined us here this weekend for GRIDLIFE Touring Cup, 14 of which are brand new to GRIDLIFE Touring Cup. That is so exciting. I'm just glad that we have as many as we do coming from the Midwest, coming from the Southeast or the Northeast to join us here at this legendary racetrack. Unfortunately, there are 3 drivers in particular that were all coming on the same hauler. That hauler had problems, had to turn around. That's the Myriad Motorsports camp, Felipe Gonzalez, Jake Jorenstad, and also the season champion, Jeremy Swenson's car was on that as well. Jeremy is here. The car is not. Real shame, but that's just the challenge of getting this far across the country, Greg.
And it's gut-wrenching for him with one caveat. He's already clinched.
Yes.
So it's not like, oh, no, I could lose this championship. But one of the things you love to do is go into the season finale already as champ, so you can just not worry about anything and just have a fun last weekend to wrap up the series. And he's going to enjoy it, but he's just going to be watching. And when you're a race driver that is as good and as committed as Jeremy is, just standing around at a racetrack watching cars go by, not your thing.
No, certainly not, and that'll be bugging him a bit. Now, the 2 drivers that were chasing him that up until Lime Rock were mathematically able to catch him were Luke McGrew and James Houghton. Neither of those drivers are here this weekend, but here's just some of the list of those that are here that fans of GLTC might be familiar with. We've, of course, got the 212, which is going to be Andy Smedegaard here this weekend. That's an ASM team car. So is Matt Waldbaum in the number 90. Fiona Liu is here this weekend. I believe we've got Tony Marchev. There he is in the number 17. We've had Vitas Aronauskis. He'll be here this weekend. Eric Jensen is here, and so is Jackson Jensen. So that is exciting to see. Eddie Nakato and Salil Shukla. Dai Win, Julio Crispin, and some that have returned to GLTC action after a couple years of not running. George Kustum-Bardis ran a couple races with us back in 2021, then moved to California. Well, we found him.
Hello.
So he'll be in a silver
We're stocking
MX-5. Yes.
We're stocking and Dustin Barty's run with us, too.
He has. He will not be here. His car did not quite get finished up. He's working on a Pontiac Firebird in that number 24. So soon he'll be part of the crew. But here is a look at the stacker on the left-hand side of the screen. Names and drivers you're familiar with. Can't be remiss without Matan Rosenberg there in the 484. Has his California cousins here this weekend. We found him at the Corkscrew. We're chatting with them. They're super happy to be here, but it's always more fun with family.
The Matan fam.
Yes.
are here in Forest, his own cheering section. And they have a right to be pretty happy because he was quickest in that morning practice session. So really showing some good pace in that big thundering Corvette of his. One of the things that I'm really looking forward to is the reaction of the fans that have come out here that are at the track that aren't familiar with GLTC. And, for instance, they see Swenson's FRS come up the hill thundering with a V8 in it. And they're going to go, this is new. And seeing this wide variety of cars, from Corvettes all the way down to Mazda Miatas and Civics, all running in the exact same class and running competitively with each other, that's what sets GRIDLIFE Touring Cup apart and makes it really special. And they're going to be really enjoying it here. There's a look at Matt Walbaum, who we've watched his evolution in the last couple of years, from a guy coming off of sim racing and doing a few things to being absolutely top tier in the driving department now.
There's a number of drivers that have first joined us in the GRIDLIFE iRacers series, running iRacing on Tuesday nights, and Waldbaum is one of those. He was, of course, a pretty established autocrosser and still continues to do that. He won a national championship this year as well. But he's transitioned to wheel-to-wheel very nicely, has a couple of wins on record. I'm sure he'd like more, and he was just in the picture so many times this season. But this is a track where he can stand out. This is a level playing field for most of the drivers here in GLTC. He can transmit right into this group, right into this track, and everyone here is effectively that is new to GLT or has run GLTC is on the same playing field.
And that's what makes it really interesting. And then I love the fact, like when we went to Carolina Motorsports Park earlier this year, and we had, 3 or 4 local guys that hadn't raced with us before, had track knowledge, and were darn fine drivers. And they were top 5 contenders right from the off. And I mean, the 272 of Larry Moore here in his BMW 3 Series, right up there early in qualifying, top 5 run for him. And you love to see that, and that's one of the reasons that you come out here, right, is to get new people in and experience what this series is all about. And when they can get out there and run really competitively, that just lights them up here. There's a look at turn 11 and how you can make a nice pass down there.
Yeah, Matt Walbaum, third quick so far to 140.166. Just look how close the times are at the top of the border so
look
far.
Look what Saney just put up here.
That car is brand new, rebuilt after the crash it had back at Midwest Festival. Going off into 10B, had an accident there and tore up the whole left side of the car. It is just freshly rebuilt, has a brand new wrap on it here this weekend, and it was still in the shop when I flew out of here the other day, or flew out of Chicago the other day. So it got here just in the nick of time and already looking very quick. Matan Rosenberg, though, jumps right back to the top.
Yeah, and he's already early in the session, only 2/10 off that practice time that he said. It was a 139.374. He's at a 139.5, so literally 2/10 off. And there's more to come, to be sure here, from that car. And it's interesting to see how that car has evolved. When he first started in it, no wing and everything, really set up for outright speed. This, though, folks, is a super high downforce track. You want to crank in every bit of downforce you can here, because a lot of these corners are, like here, long, flowing, fast corners.
Oh, wow.
You want grip. Wow.
Do you see the compression there?
Yep.
Actually shot some smoke out of the right side from contacting the tires there. Again, Matan's got real wide tires under the fenders of that car, so you have to be concerned about damaging the tires when you're rubbing on them pretty significantly through that corner.
And the other thing, when you make that left-hander through the corkscrew, that right-hander where it compresses at the bottom, you see a lot of splitters putting up sparks and everything down through there, which is spectacular. And 15-minute races and a little bit longer qualifying session. You got to be mindful of it, but you can make it work.
Yeah, some other names and drivers I wanted to mention. Let's talk about Julio Crispin running 8th quick in the number 911. That's that Nissan 350Z. This is a phenomenal drive. He was quick in practice as well, as Waldbaum goes right to the top at a 39.1. That's a really strong time for him as well. Adam Wood, this is a lot closer to his his home. He's, again, from the west side of the country, runs 12th right now. Nick Steniford from Colorado. Oscar Jackson is in a K24 FRS. He's running 16th in a white number 246. Just lots of names running really well in their first go here and in GLTC. And the times are incredibly close at the top of the order here still.
Yeah, really, really good. And that lap by Waldbaum, now that's the fastest lap that's been turned here at this stage, over 2/10 quicker than Rosenberg's time from this morning. And so Rosenberg sits second, now Saney third. Jensen just had a really stout lap, jumped up into sixth, and just that fast. Julio Crispin uncorked another good one, jumps up into the fifth spot. And, it's interesting for people that are just watching for the first time, Kyle. We should probably explain how qualifying is critical for the first race, but then the grids for the next few all kind of there's always churn because of each race. The grid is determined in a different way.
Yeah, so the first race we qualify for, and that's what we're doing now. You're going to set your fastest lap. We'll start the race based on those positions. Race 2 is set by the fastest lap from race 1. Race 3 is set by finishing order from race 2. And then race 4 is finishing order from race 3 with a random invert of the top quarter of the field, which always creates a bit of drama towards the end of the weekend. It's so much fun to watch. But I think the format's really fun. I think the other thing you have to consider is there's points on the line here this weekend.
Right.
Not a lot in terms of the championship shuffle, but there's still weekend points and weekend trophies, and they're big and shiny and cool. Those are all on the line here. So 3 points to the pole sitter, 2 points to second place, 1 point to third place, and rewards weight that is stacked on as well before you head into the weekend.
Including after qualifying. So you go out and get pole, you're going to have a little bit of weight. We talk about Swenson already having clinched, right? But, McGrew, Houghton, Waldbaum, Matan, that, especially that top 2 or that top 3, and then Waldbaum, Rosenberg, they're here. They're close in this championship. And, if one of them can really put something together, they could end up third. And, when you're, looking at postseason results, beautiful slide there, postseason results and talking to potential sponsors or working a program, you could say I was third in the championship as opposed to fifth. That makes a big difference.
Yeah, certainly. Alex Audi jumps up into the top 10 as well as Moore that you mentioned earlier. Larry Moore in the 272. Anthony Dominici in the 173 is 13th quick at the moment. Another new name here to GRIDLIFE Touring Cup. 14, by the way, new to GLTC. That is a new record in GRIDLIFE Touring Cup. Other than race 1 of the entire series, this is the largest rookie or new to GLTC group that we've ever had. So a lot of discussion in the drivers' meetings about setting the expectations of how GLTC races, and I think everyone walked away from that. I talked to some of the new drivers this weekend, and they said, that's so refreshing to have that be the expectation from the get-go.
Yeah. Got it. Talk about the 320 of Eddie Nakato up into the 8th spot right now. The BMW 3 Series, I think he's one of the new drivers. In the number 11 is, I'm trying to find him here. His last name is Audi. And there he is, Alex Audi, running a BMW, so a little bit of a disconnect there. I guess they're both German, so yes. It works. But having a nice run up into 9th right now.
Yeah, looking really solid at that number 11. And, of course, you mentioned Ross earlier, I think, as well. Justin Ross in the 47. He's got another BMW M3. So he's up in the top 15 at the moment in position number 11. Just in the back of that shot behind that green BMW, that's Ben Thorne from Gears and Gasoline. Again, continuing his trek and forward progress in this series. It's been such a competitive moment for Ben, and actually just watched their most recent video about Ben finding some success at Mid-Ohio, while Ben Lynn, who's got his MR2, was struggling a lot trying to find the speed and momentum and pace. And you see a little smoke pop out of it.
Smoke
yeah,
there?
I did as well. It could be tire rub. Again, there's so much lateral load on these cars.
There is.
A lot of corner speed, camber in the turns as well. So you might be just experiencing tire rub here, and they'll work that out.
And part of it too, with this infield section, Laguna Seca is Spanish for dry lake. And when they built this track, there was a lake in the center that dried, and they built the track around it. And so when they then decided to make this move through the infield, they had to grade it and everything and make it level. But again, you look at turns 3 and 4, long duration, really quick corners, and so you're right, you just get the suspension's loaded up for long durations here.
Yeah. Michael Hilo making a pass on Vitas Aronauskis in the 144. Hilo, again, another Californian. He's there in that, well, he didn't was going to try to make a pass on Vitas, but couldn't quite get it done. That's that red 350 at the bottom of the hill. There's Thorne again, making that 4-story drop in the Advanced Auto Parts and Valvoline-sponsored Honda Civic. There's Hilo again in the 224.
He's jumped up into 8th?
Yeah, that's a really solid run, and he's familiar with this racetrack, and that's going to help them a lot. The familiarity and having laps here is going to put you ahead of those that are familiar with GLTC but maybe have never seen this track before.
Tony Marchev doing an absolutely superb job. That number 17, the 2001 Honda S2000, up into 3rd right now, Kyle. Really putting in a solid run. It's Waldbaum, Rosenberg, Marchev, Saney, Smedegaard, and Jensen, who was up into 6th, then fell outside of the top 10 a bit. Just put in another stout lap, jumps right back into the 6th spot.
Just got a checkered flag notification as well, so drivers will complete their laps, and that will set our starting lineup here for the race later today. Jeremy Boysen is here in 21st place. Peter Zhang finally getting his V8-powered FRS into the field, so that's been a long time coming, that project in particular, so I'm glad he's got that going. David Rudzinski in the K-Swap S10 pickup truck is here in the field as well, so that's going to be a lot of fun to watch. He'll start towards the tail of the field, though, with a qualifying effort of 34th.
And really cool for Fiona Liu, who is California-based, to be able to make a relatively short tow for her in that number 333, one of the ASM Honda S2000s that are always so well prepared and so quick in this championship.
Yeah, and you mentioned Tony Marchev a minute ago. He had an exceptional round. Hey, Matan Rosenberg just pipped Waldbaum, I think. 38.9, that's a new time?
Yeah, that's first sub 139 lap we've had, Kyle.
That's a quick lap, and right at the very end of the session. But as I was saying, Tony Marchev had a disastrous start to the weekend, crashed that car hard in turn 7 in the tire bundles, rebuilt the car overnight with assistance from some of the drivers in the paddock. The next day, went out there, was immediately contesting up in the top 10.
That was a big hit.
It was a big one.
When it happened, and I wasn't there, but I was watching it, and I went, yeah, he's done.
Yep, we all did that. I'm sure he did
out.
It too, but no one lets you quit here in GRIDLIFE.
Well, no, there will be about 15 of your competitors who know well that if they fix your car, you might go out and beat them. They will jump on that car to get you out there. And a guy that we're kind of familiar with named Tom O'Gorman, coaching him. And he said he really has dialed it up and is really happy with what he's doing already.
How about Ben Thorne, 7th place at the very end? That's a great lap there. Jason Saney, 4th. Eddie Nakato up there in the top 10. And just a lot of great names. This is going to be such a fun weekend. Of course, we've got some new names in the mix, which always creates some excitement. And you have to shout out Andy Smedegaard again, towing a handful of cars over 2,300 miles to be here, then hopping in the car. So really cool to see that. He's had a busy year in FD as well, supporting Robert Thorne's drift organization, drift program as well. So. And Alexander Taradelos Newell in 28th place. That is about the largest name we think we can get in that graphic. Rob Fuller, 29th, and then Ben Lynn in 30th. And he, again, talking about that video at Mid-Ohio, was just really upset he was last. He's not last. So, progress.
Progress, absolutely. And, right now, Taradelos Newell, that, for me, is the second longest name in terms of letters I've ever had to deal with. The longest was in a Lamborghini Super Trofeo race many years ago, Supachai Weraborowanpong.
Wow.
It just went forever on the entry list.
Well,
what a lap by Matan right at the end. Dropping below 139. That's a fast lap.
That was a really quick lap. And that'll do it for qualifying. It's Matan Rosenberg on pole alongside Matt Waldbaum. Of course, that will conclude coverage for GLTC qualifying today. We've got plenty more coming your way. Next up is going to be our NOS Energy TrackBattle Championship qualifying 1. So that'll be the first of their qualifying sessions for the weekend. A new series in Rush SR. And then we'll have Drift, GLTC Race 1, and Model 3 Challenge rounding out the rest of the afternoon here.
Just a little teaser, when the Unlimited and Super Unlimited cars come out for this NOS TrackBattle Energy Championship, don't miss it. Is some amazingly crazy, fast, and unique stuff in there.
Unlimited is about the most stacked I've ever seen it as far as the star cars that you're going to see there. So that's going to be fun. They will run slowest to fastest. Coming up here shortly, we're going to take a quick break. We'll be back with the NOS Energy TrackBattle Championship from GRIDLIFE Laguna.
Born on the track. Bred on the mountains, raised on the podium, ready for anything and everything. Learn more about our entire line at falcontire.com.
Hi, I'm Chris Forsberg, and when it comes to classics and high-performance cars, I only trust America's #1 racing oil, Valvoline VR1. It's built on Valvoline's long legacy in racing, so I can continue to build my own. With 2 times more zinc than the industry standard, VR1's high-performance formula is tested on the track and trusted on the road to ensure your engine is protected from metal-to-metal contact. And I use it so much, I haven't got my car on the bottle. That's why whether I'm racing or cruising, I protect everything I drive with Valvoline. Valvoline, trusted for over 150 years.
Well, the NOS Energy TrackBattle Championship has contested 11 rounds en route to this finale at WeatherTech Raceway Laguna Seca. For this is the final boss of time attack in North America, the fastest racetrack that we've got on the tail end of the season here. It is a short lap, 2.2 miles, and it is a blast around here. 11 turns at this West Coast racetrack, bringing out the end of the season for the NOS Energy TrackBattle Championship. Kyle Heyer alongside Greg Kramer. Greg, you've been alongside me for a handful of rounds this year with this new format for the NOS Energy TrackBattle Championship. It has been thrilling, but I think the track today is as thrilling as the format and the cars on track as well.
I think so too. It's going to be a fabulous test here. Massive elevation changes, and it climbs and drops. You know, it's not like undulating or anything like that. It just climbs, and then you fall down the side of the mountain here, if you will. And it is a track that's got lots of long duration fast corners, but some very serious braking zones. It's got this corner, the iconic corkscrew, but the one thing, it's recently repaved. It's got lots of grip in the track, but it's windy out here, and they keep the curbs here low because they have a lot of motorcycle racing here, and as a result, when it gets windy, especially if a car drops a tire somewhere, all of that dust you see, the gravel, it's very fine here, and it blows right back onto the track, and so lap to lap, the amount of grip you're ultimately going to have in a corner can change. And for these guys that are absolutely out there going after outright fast times, that can be daunting, and that's what makes this so special.
Absolutely. There are 2 classes on track right now. They're both the Falcon classes, as Peter Granberg goes for a little bit of a drop moment there at the exit of Turn 3. It's Falcon Club TR and Falcon Sunday Cup. We'll bounce you between them as progress happens. Remember the format here, the top 5 after all 3 qualifying sessions will advance to the podium sprint tomorrow afternoon. So the goal here is be in the top 5 of your class, and as it was at Mid-Ohio, already very, very close, even on the first lap of qualifying. Peter Granberg at a 142.74, Tassin at a 142.76, so it's only 0.02 of a second already on that cut line. That is phenomenal.
Yeah, they don't wait long, do they?
No.
They get really after it here in a big hurry and keeping it so close. And I love this graphic because it really shows you here, you know, especially once we get into the second and third, you know, qualifying runs here, it shows you who's in a position to be able to make that move into that final podium sprint, which is a fascinating, really, I think, revolution in how track battle time attack is conducted here in terms of broadcast and presentation, and that's what makes it cool. And I love it that it isn't, you know, in, out, or anything like that, because as long as there is...
Whoa, big slide. That was very close.
Save.
Woo, that was Jeremy Bailey, and that was a huge save right ahead of one of his Falcon Club TR competitors, which I think is a local, the Silver NC, which is the number 84, I believe. Didn't get a great look at that number. The 94, Bryant, rather.
Yeah.
Mike Bryant.
That was a wreck that just didn't happen.
Yeah.
And that was all down to Bryant and very, very quick reactions.
Yeah, and again, it's easy to do as you drop that tire on the backside of the curb. It's just kind of green-painted concrete, so it's very slippery. And nicely saved there. Fez Bobber in the number 61. There he is on your screen. Currently the fastest driver in this category, 140.122. We actually saw him go for a loop in the corkscrew earlier.
Yes,
and
we did.
He's pushing hard, and it's paying off here early in qualifying.
Well, and you've got to get out there. You don't have a lot of opportunities here, and you've just had the GLTC qualifying group out there. It was a pretty clean session for the GLTC cars, and what that means to me is that they didn't haul a lot of that sand and debris up on the track. So the line right now could be in really good shape, and you get out there and push at this stage. And here's the thing, it's sunny now, and so this now very black track, if you've ever watched anything from here or been here, it used to be just that gray asphalt, and it wasn't super reactive to temperature and sunlight. It is much more so now, but it's really chilly out there, and it's also breezy, and so you're in a really nice window right now where you've got pretty cool air, but the track is probably pretty grippy. This is go time.
Yeah, and we are in a pretty sizable delay today because this morning we have, of course, that ocean fog that rolls in, delayed us about 3 hours, and so we are way back from where we expected to be. So these are going to be very short sessions. I had Adam Jabay just text me that these are going to be 2 and 3 lap runs basically, and then we're going to move on to the next group of classes. Also on track right now, we haven't gotten a glimpse of them yet, is Falcon Sunday Cup. So while we've got the Club TR cars on your camera, there's a look at the running order of the Falcon Sunday Cup category. Taylor Wargo in his number 135 up to a 153.56. And looks like Jake Abbott, the points front runner in the points. Of course, Lucas Urban, Davidson, and Ma, the top 5, and it's a couple seconds back to the 969, the Fields Auto Works car, and then Wendland in the 269. Checkered flag already, Greg. That's how fast things are going to be happening here.
Yeah, it's so far behind, and there is a curfew at this track. This is owned by the county, and so there are some fairly stringent rules. And one of the cool things was the county was at least savvy enough to understand something that makes GRIDLIFE special is the sound of these amazing cars, and so they granted a waiver on the normal, very strict noise limits that you can run here. Thank goodness for that, because it allows these guys to get out there and just go.
Yeah, it is a decibel-free weekend is the terminology we've been using, which means that this track is actually famous for drivers having to modify their exhaust to pass the normal sound limits that are here. They're called Laguna pipes that turn the sound up and away from wherever the sensors are, but we don't have to worry about that here this weekend. What Taylor Wargo has to worry about is Jake Abbott closing in on the top seed for that podium sprint, and only off by 0.03 of a second.
Yeah, so close out there right now. And again, pretty good gap between Ma and the Field Auto Work entry at this stage in terms of that top 5 time. But there you can see it. But look at how close that is. Obviously, Fez put up a pretty good number in the that car. But look at how close it is behind here. These fields in this category and in Sunday Cup are always just within hundreds and tenths.
Yeah, remember this is just basically setting the goal for tomorrow, right?
Yeah.
We've got 2 more qualifying sessions. There's no advancing or failing to advance until tomorrow. So this is just Q1 of 3. So as they're advancing, yes, they are, but only if they stay there heading into tomorrow. So there's your Falcon Sunday Cup group. And of the 7 that are entered, 5 will advance. And right now it's still a couple of seconds. The Fields Auto Works car did close up a bit. 5 seconds is the gap, though, as Dumas put some more time up. Was in the 57s, now in the 56s.
And, this is one of those things where track knowledge, obviously, when you've got very compressed sessions like this, track knowledge is massive because you can get out there right away. You've probably driven this in similar conditions, etc. You can get out there and really get after it in a hurry, and that will pay big dividends here. And this is just so much fun. And we should point out as well, right, Kyle, that even if it's practice, if you break a track record, you get that record and you get a point for that.
And actually that has been a big topic of discussion this season because the way Time Attack is scored, you can get 25 points in a weekend just by winning the podium sprint or being the fastest if you're at a club weekend. That extra point allows you to kind of lock up the championship early. There's a couple drivers that have already done that. Dewey DeWitt is one in Street Mod, and Ido Waxman was the other in the Street GT category. Already locked up the championship because they won 4 rounds and then got 4 track records as well. So the maximum points is 104. You get that, you win.
Yeah.
We'll give it to you.
That's simple. Yep. Yeah, so it can be hugely critical here. And speaking of huge, here comes Street, and this is one of the bigger groups here. And as the name implies, pretty close to just downright stock machines out here. Doesn't mean they're slow.
No, it certainly doesn't. Really, the most you can do here is kind of bolt-ons, right? You can't get into the real nitty-gritty of making huge modifications. These are factory bolt-on cars. You can get, a little bit wild with turbos and things, so you can get some pretty fast all-wheel drive cars. In particular, Subaru WRXs and Mitsubishi Evos. Those are really popular cars for this class. But as far as the other modifications you can make beyond coilovers and brakes and some bolt-ons, you can't really do a lot other than some safety things. So this is a pretty fun class. It also is kind of a catch-all for some of those that haven't built specifically for any particular category.
And they generally can run really close together as well, and that's really cool. And, again, it's still an immense test on this track. And there are times when the closer you are to stock, the more difficult the cars are actually to really drive at the limit, because you don't have all of those tricks, suspension components and aids and the like that can really help a car designed, from the ground up to be a very fast race car in whatever format it is. So a lot of times some of the best drives that we see in this track battle championship come in these street classes.
And another thing to note as well, we do combine a couple categories to kind of make this go a little bit quicker. If a car has a yellow banner and yellow door cards and yellow placard on the rear, that is a Street GT car. There are Street GT cars in this group as well, so we'll have Street, which is blue, and Street GT, which is that gold color, on track together as they work their way around on their warm-up lap. This is a big group of cars, as you pointed out, Greg. We've got a lot of cars in both those classes. Street GT, similar modifications to Street class, but there is an MSRP limit, original MSRP of under $125,000, and it is designed specifically for 5, 6, and 8-cylinder cars. So you'll see a lot of V8s, Corvettes, Camaros, Mustangs, that sort of thing in Street GT.
And one of the things about this track, when you're out here with that many cars, remember, folks, it's 2.24 miles in length, essentially. Not that long. And so you get a lot of cars out there, and you're just trying to go for times right now. Traffic can be really, really big. And you've got to play that, it just sort of becomes a chess match, doesn't it? Where, all right, where can I go? Where can I find this clear lap? Sometimes you might even decide, I'm just going to do a nice slow trundle down pit lane and keep an eye out, then get out and try and find some clear track. And this is not a track where you historically get big drafts.
No.
So it isn't like, especially if you're in a bigger car, it's going to be really tough to get much of a tow here because none of the straights are that long.
Yeah, there's a good look at Larry Chen and his GR86. He's one of our photographers here at GridLife on occasion as well. A nicely tuned GR86. Got a lot of stickers on it, too, which always make you go quicker. Getting by a Toyota GR Corolla as well. So a couple of the Toyota GR machines following each other nose to tail up the hill and up towards the corkscrew. Again, I did see, now, Chen is in Street Mod, so there's actually 3 classes represented here in this group. So it's going to be a bit of a whack-a-mole as far as following all of them together. But as soon as times come across the board, we will share them. How about some Street GT times? Kyle Magnuson, the first car around. That car was on its roof at a Barber event earlier this year. Turned it back over, still won the weekend. 1 minute 35, 8:45.
Got to love those kind of stories, right? It's the old, rolled and continued call. That you don't get very
No, you
often.
don't get that a lot, do you? You hope not. Andy Volkel made a trek all the way out here in a C8 Corvette. He's run that car all over. Pink and black, easy to spot. Has been up front in Street GT all season long. There's a look at Magnuson and the kind of dual-toned yellow and black livery it has. And if you look real close, I'm not sure how much he's fixed it, but there is some scrapes and scratches. It was a real slow tumble in the gravel, but it's a tumble.
A tumble's a tumble.
Up and over, I'll say. So.
Yep. And I think one of the great names that's here this weekend, we have lots of fun names. Wintermantle is out there. That's Brad Wintermantle in number 303 in the Spinnaker Composites. It's a 2004 Ford Mustang running in Street GT. Listen to that. Down
the
through
hill.
the corkscrew, baby.
Yeah, and then through Rainy Curve, which again is such a high commitment corner. And there's a look at your street order so far in the first lap of asking. Luca Barberis right up at the top at a 36.2. Eddie Siegel in the 470. Aaron Reckadal Mike Coons in the 310 is a regular competitor. So is Mike Calloway, Joe Milkey in the 555, and a handful of others. Big street class field here today.
Yeah, really sizable here. Watching him, this is down the front straight, which really bends a couple of times here. You go up and over this now, a little bit more pronounced rise than it used to be, then falls down into the Andretti hairpin. And there's lots of different approaches to this turn as well. There's the early turn in, and then the floated out, diamond it, and then get it back so you can square up, get on the throttle early. Others will just go tight to the inside and stay there. And then there's some that every once in a while will go in way wide, then square it hard and come in. And
whoa, Andy Vogel, a little wide there. You never know dropping a tire onto the dirt and gravel here if you're going to be able to hang on to it. But the Corvette handling it well.
Yeah, absolutely working great through there. And a lot of that is just Vogel's talent and experience, obviously. Really good behind the wheel. And again, really, I mean, he's on it hard, and that's that's what you have to do here, especially now that we have these very abbreviated sessions due to that huge fog delay. You just got to get after it right now. That is using every piece of racetrack through turn 6. And I'll tell you, the addition of that what about 6 foot wide green patch out there has saved so many cars from getting buried in the gravel or up into the wall.
Well, he's chasing hard, and he's got to because he's still a full second and a half behind Kyle Magnussen. If he wants to win this, he's going to have to compete with that 570 car here this weekend. And it's Corvette versus Porsche at the moment at the top of the screen there. That's going to be a fun battle to watch all weekend long. And right now, I think in third place, it's the 819 car of Carl Tott.
Ooh, way wide.
This car is just not doing what he wants it to do on this lap for sure.
Yeah, it's just loose everywhere. And he's been great at catching it, but obviously that is not what you want to be doing. And now you've dirtied up your tires for a while, and so that's going to be really problematic. And we know how quick is that, a checkered flag flying down?
It looks like it.
So it's that fast. And so he was on probably, he thought, a really nice lap, and then just overshot down in 11 and just nulled that lap completely out.
Yeah, and already you see how many cars are coming in even a lap early. And this is the sport of time attack. You're not running lap after lap after lap. You only need 2 good laps to win.
Yep.
You need 1 good one in qualifying to get you in the top 5 in your class, and you need 1 good one in the podium sprint. That's it. So all the other laps beyond a good, clean banker lap to get you into the podium sprint is extra wear and tear that you don't need to put on your tires, that you don't need to put on the engine. So there's something to be said for the old traditional time attack tool of go out there, run 1 quick lap, and be done.
Yeah, and we've seen a lot of drivers have done that to huge success and track records. And really in this format, because it's so short right now, you do your out lap, you maybe do 1 more lap to make sure everything's warmed up, and then it's attack, and you get maybe 2 laps, and then the checker's coming out. So in a way, it's great training for the podium sprint.
Yeah,
that's right. Similar here.
You're not going to get a lot of laps in the podium sprint either. 2 is all you have, and if you go 4 off at any point, it's game over. You have to keep the car on the road, and there is a little bit of paved runoff to go outside those boundaries as well, so you have to play by the rules. There's a look at your street results. At the top of the order, it is Luca Barberis, Josh Halka, Aaron Rekadal, Mike Coons, and Christopher Rosales that are currently your advancing drivers. In Street GT, it's Kyle Magnussen, Andy Vogel, Carl Tott, and Trey Tyler in the 143, another new name to the NOS Energy TrackBattle Championship, and then Brad Wintermantle in that number 303.
Yep, and again, not deep in terms of necessarily entries here, but the driving talent in this field, pretty stout here. I'm kind of surprised to see that much of a gap, to be honest with you, in this category. That'll tighten up when we get longer runs, and hopefully we get much, more time on track tomorrow.
Yeah, and again, these sessions are so much shorter than they normally would be because of the fog that we had, and we could expect something similar tomorrow. So you have to factor that in mind that you're probably not going to get a lot of laps here with that, with how tight everything is. You have to be able to perform in just a lap or 2.
Well, and that, what? It's championship weekend, and when you come in here and you're dealing with a technical, difficult track, and then you throw in conditions like that, you're earning it. Championships ought to. I've always thought that a season finale weekend for whatever series it is ought to be at a really tough track so that you can walk away going, hey, I earned that one.
Well, it'll be next up. It'll be Street Mod and Track Mod, and we should also get some unlimited cars. But, of course, coverage of GRIDLIFE Laguna is brought to you by Hyundai. Grid Life Live is powered by Hyundai N. Hyundai N, never just drive. And Falcon, the official tire of Grid Life Track Battle. And Eibach, race springs engineered to win. We've got our next group coming up here in just a short time. Of course, 8 different classes. Normally I say 7, Greg, but we do have an 8th class that we don't talk about a lot because it's not one that we track points for, nor is it one that we typically award trophies for. But that is Super Unlimited. And at the end of this NOS Energy Track Battle qualifying, when we've got Unlimited on track as well, some Super Unlimited cars are here, and they are some pretty neat cars. And I'm just going to preface this by saying that what's the difference between Unlimited and Super Unlimited? Well, in Unlimited, your car still has to start as a production-based car with a VIN number. Super Unlimited, it's got wheels and an engine. Fair game, bring it on.
And I'll tell you, there's a couple of absolutely radical-looking machines in Super Unlimited. One in particular, and I'm going to throw this reference out now if you're an old fart like me. All I'm going to say is think about Formula Libre back in the late 50s, early 60s, and you'll see what I mean here when they come out.
There's your champion, Dewey DeWitt, heading down the hill. He's already collected about all the side quest progress trophies you can pick up on the way. Track records at a handful of places. He's won a handful of events. He's got the trophy locked up for the season. He's just here to prove how fast that Subaru is, how fast Boogeyman is in California. And he's got a little bit of smack talk on the line here this weekend to show up and make sure that he can beat all the locals in that number 70. So it's going to be fun to watch him. They rebuilt this motor. It's fresh just for this event. And here he comes up the straightaway here. Larry Chen's already on the board from the last session, but Dewey DeWitt starts the lap here, and this is going to be fun to watch.
It is. And keep in mind, folks, I think this is a 1995 Subaru, but that doesn't mean it hasn't been updated, prepped, and absolutely evolved at the very highest order. Man, he wanted every ounce of rotation and wide line through that corner to get powered up.
I think he might have even locked up a bit on the entry to the Andretti hairpin. I saw, we see a little bunny hop there from the suspension, but he's pushing hard. Some sparks flying, tire pressures are low. You're leaning on the tires at the moment on this first lap out, and this car is so fast. It's picked up track records at a handful of places, and I think this car is capable of a production car record here. It is held currently by Randy Popes. I think, given the right conditions, I think Dewey could do it. Let's see if he can get close, though.
It's up in turn 6. Look at that spark as that front splitter hammers that compression, and now up into the corkscrew. And as they drop down and make this is the left-hand turn in. Now the right-hander, when they compress at the bottom, right there.
He's got
nice line.
Cal Fortner chasing him in the Mercedes-AMG GLS behind him. But this number 70 is the top-seeded car in this group, and for a reason. Through turn 10, right on the curbing, beautiful line. Doesn't push too hard on the exit. Now gets set up for this turn 11. This is really, truly a hairpin. It's a tight corner. Back on throttle now. Use that all-wheel drive. Use the track limits. Throttle up. Let's see what Dewey's got here. The number 70 in the NOS Energy Track Battle Championship across the stripe. What's it going to be first lap out? A 1:31.298. And that is a really good first lap out.
Man, it's absolutely stonking. Boy, he likes to use every bit of racetrack there. You know, part of the reason is depending upon how your setup is in an all-wheel drive car, it can have this little inherent push, and so you want to open the angle up just a little bit so you can really get on the throttle using every bit of racetrack. And again, you can see that little hop now flowing it through turn 4 here, and you can see how long these corners are and why you're in them. And I mean, it still hasn't ended. It just did there, and then here we go. Through 5 and starting the climb.
And right out to the edge of the road here, I'm sure, just on the curbing. And how close is this to that production car record? Well,
he locked up. Big lockup.
Well, he got it slowed down somehow.
Yeah, he sure did.
So he's only 3 seconds off that record that I talked about.
Already.
It's in the 28s.
Wow.
So, and this is very early. That's a big lockup there into the corkscrew. That was a rear lock, I think. Saw how wildly the car stepped out there. Thought it was the engine for a moment.
It was a huge, and you know, I wonder if that first lockup in 6, if that didn't give him a huge flat spot.
I'm sure it must have, but again, I'd seen him lock up the fronts though, and it seemed like it was the rears that time. Again, I think it was that left rear tire I saw lock, and that's why that car was shimmying back and forth. But he's still on it. He's still pushing.
Well, hey, you've got to just give it here. And let's see, it's going to be tough with that.
Not
going to better it,
So no pickup there on Dewey's second lap, but that will be easily good enough to punt him through to the podium sprint regardless.
But did you notice what that second lap was? A 1:31.49.
It wasn't that far off.
It was literally 2/10 off with that mess. So he could have easily been into the 130.
Oh, yeah. And,
without a doubt.
then you're within striking distance just based on track temp and conditions at that stage.
You
So
bet.
there's the 914 to Christopher Mayfield. That is this car. This is a Lotus Evora. And again, I love these cars. The underpinnings of these cars, they've got Toyota-sourced engines, the 3.5-liter V6. And if you want to build a reliable race car, you usually start with like either Honda or Toyota. And in this case, Lotus has done that from factory. And these are just exceptional track toys. And this one looks really well set up. It's quick.
And pretty.
Yeah, gorgeous.
Lotus has always built cars with just glorious life. And you can see, the throwback to the cars that sort of revolutionized not just Formula One, but sports car prototype racing back in the 60s, just with these absolutely smooth lines.
Yeah, still about 3 seconds off of Dewey's times. That's how fast Dewey's going compared to this Lotus down the hill. And then in third place is the number 884 of Schaefer. Steven Schaefer, who's at a 37 flat is where he's at. But looks like the 339 of Lamb is currently your top 5 qualifier as the checkered flag flies already in the street mod group here. Again, just getting a couple of laps, couple of reps, and the difference between in and out, 0.05 of a second. We're going to be talking about this cut line all weekend long.
And I mean, that's what's so exciting. I mean, and look at, you've got the 237 of Christopher, you got the 595 of Williams within 6-7 tenths of that cut line as well. It's that close.
Yeah, Cal Fortner hasn't gotten a representative lap. I've seen that car out there, so I wonder if it's a transponder or timing problem for him, perhaps. But either way, he has not gotten a lap I think is representative. He should be up in that top 5. And Mike Almick as well. We haven't seen him out on track yet, have we?
No, we haven't. We have not.
So that's interesting. He's another car that I think is capable of running podium this week.
Oh, yeah, without a doubt.
So that
He's had a great season already.
Yeah, it could put Aguayo and Lamb on watch there because they're in, and there's 2 drivers. Well, there goes Fortner up to third. So that answers that question. 34-1. Yeah.
I think you had one of the great lines ever at, I think it was Mid-Ohio. We had an onboard of Fortner's car.
Yeah.
And you were looking at all the shiny chrome and stuff. And he said, the interior of that car looks like Lewis Hamilton dresses.
I mean,
that line is going to stick for a long time, my friend.
It's got all the whiz bangs and shiny chrome control knobs, and there's more chrome inside that car than there is outside of a 1960s Cadillac. So it's definitely dressed up. But so it looks like we've shuffled the cut line a bit. Again, Aguayo now is on the cut line at 37.1 to Lamb's 138.1. That is the cut line there. We'll get a look at our street mod results here before we move on to I don't want to say the fun one because all the classes are fun, but Greg, we've got some really ripping cars coming up in this next group.
Oh, man, this is just, we were out there watching some of this, and in terms of an unlimited, and then you add in the super unlimited, but just the turnout. Remember, California has this amazing car culture, and a lot of these cars that have come out we haven't seen before in GRIDLIFE NOS Energy TrackBattle Championship competition, and it is spectacular.
Yeah, typically you get a lot of homebrew, home-built cars in the GRIDLIFE NOS Energy TrackBattle Championship, and some might say that that's the goal of Time Attack, is to build your car. But we've obviously seen over the last couple of years factory race cars, or at the top end, or even cars that are really good from factory that just don't need a lot to be very good, and any modifications you make are actually going backwards from what the manufacturer intended or the design of the car. So you have to factor that in, and we've got some cars that are factory race cars in this next group, or at least in the unlimited and super unlimited group, that were never intended to be run in Time Attack competition. They are wheel race cars through and through, but now in this application I think fit really well and must be just such a blast.
Oh, I would think. And you make a good point about when you get these cars that are built right from the factory as a race car, so modifying them can actually do things. Many, many years ago, there was a guy named Russ Wiles out of Nebraska, who was a perennial national solo champion, and he oftentimes would get fast time of day, right, in a bone stock BMW 3 Series. And so they started changing the rules of the car just because of Russ, because he was that good, right? And I asked him once in an interview. I said, "Have you ever thought of stepping up into what was then called street prepared or prepared, and everything?" And he went, "No." And I said, "Why not?" And he goes, "Well, I thought about that, and you know what dawned on me?" I said, "What?" And he said, "Well, I've got this really amazing group of engineers in Bavaria that built this car. Why would I think I could do better?"
Exactly.
I think I'm just going to leave it alone.
Yeah.
And he just went on and won more and more national championships. So.
Well, next group is on track, and this is a good mix. There's some track mod, there's some unlimited. I don't know if I've seen the super unlimited cars yet, but I think they will show as cars are rolling. I just got a text from my cat sitter that my cat found the sugar, and I got a picture of the sugar bag tipped over, and oh man.
And a cat jonesing, and got the shakes, and bouncing around the room.
I told her there's duct tape in the drawer. You can use it on the cat, or you can use it on the cabinet. Whatever's easier. All right, so cars on track now. I see a lot of red on the banners. That would signify unlimited. So just for those that aren't familiar with how the classing structure works here, we'll show it to you on the, well, I was going to show it to you, but I can't. Basically, the red is unlimited. If you see tan, that is super unlimited. Orange is track mod. So the track mod and unlimited might look fairly similar, but just get a good look at it, and we'll do the best to keep you covered on what's out there and in what order. So let's pull up unlimited first, and we'll see who's up on track. See some orange in this group on the downhill run here.
Obviously, really aggressive aero as you get up into the track mod and unlimited and especially super unlimited categories. Huge aero. Is that car not gorgeous? We didn't see that one earlier.
No.
I think it's an old Pontiac Firebird, isn't it?
I have to get a better look at it when it comes back around.
Yeah.
But here comes some of the track-modified cars. And the first one to trip the timing and scoring in the track mod group is, well, I guess this is just starting a lap then for this Audi R8. Down into the first corner. Whoa, big wobble there on the exit of the Andretti hairpin. Did he chase it off course? Nope, still on track. And number 159 car, that is, I believe, a track mod car, so we should see it on the timing and scoring when times go on the board.
Is that an Audi R8?
It is.
Yep.
This is not the race car Audi R8 LMS Ultra, which would be the and you'd think that'd be a silly statement normally, but we have a Mercedes-AMG GT3 Evo, the new one, in the unlimited group. So yeah, we have some factory race cars here from manufacturers. This Porsche 911 in tow is a pretty nice looking car as well. I don't know much about the lineage of it, but it doesn't immediately strike me as a previous Porsche Cup car. I think it is just a Porsche 911 that's been modified to be similar. But on this corkscrew, we got a 4-story drop from top to bottom, big compressions at all stages, and then you have to kind of fight the car over back to the right to set up for this left-hand turn at Rainy Curve. And if you apex too early and hit that curb, you're going to have a real bad day. That's a noisy, annoying curb down there on the inside.
It is, and again, if you apex early there, it's so easy then to just go straight off the outside of that corner, because Rainy goes on for a long time, and then right at the end it tightens up a little bit, and so you've got to give yourself that little bit of an arc. It's one of those corners, Kyle, that demands something that is kind of anathema to race car drivers: patience.
Yes.
You just got to wait, then turn, or you're going to be either off or slow.
First handful of cars across the board there. It is George Zhao in the Audi. Then it's Gabe Zamora in the Porsche that is trailing him. Then Marcus Fry in the 407. And here comes now this car I saw at Circuit of the America
That's what I was wondering.
Earlier this year. Across the stripe there for, what's the number on that car? Didn't get a look at it.
Didn't either.
It's going too fast.
Yeah.
You got to slow down a little bit for us. With the recognition on the side. That is the 916. Now, I did not see it trip the timing and scoring this time through. So, might be a transponder issue potentially. We'll hopefully see it next time by. But up and up. It's a Datsun, Greg. Isn't that what it is?
Is that a Datsun?
Yeah. Right? Again, I'm going to get yelled at because I'm too young to know this stuff.
Well, we do have that's a Datsun 510?
That's what it is, yes. The 510 Datsun.
That's not a Datsun.
No? Camaro? What is it?
That looks like an old Pontiac.
Oh, man, I'm going to get yelled at so much. The chat's going to blow me up.
Because the Datsun is number 407.
Firebird.
It is a Firebird.
Yeah, you had it right, Greg. Okay. I should have trusted you. This car came out before I was born, so that's my excuse.
Ouch!
Sorry,
Ouch!
I have to throw it out there.
Medic to the booth.
I know what like a Scion XB is. That's about all I can give you.
Medic to the booth. I've got a knife in my shoulder.
Down the hill, though, here it comes. Yes, it is. Thanks for the chat helping me out. It is a Firebird. Thank you, folks. Now we know what it is. Let's see how fast it can go. That's the
Sure
beauty
sounds
of time
pretty,
attack.
doesn't it?
It sure. Oh, you know what it is? It's probably in the unlimited category. That's why I don't see it. Let's take a look at the unlimited class and let's find out how fast it's going. And across the stripe. Oh, it's super unlimited. That'll do it. Here it is. Yes.
Oh, the 916 at Stair.
Yes, 136.629. And that is, let's see, Riley Stair behind the wheel of that 916. Now, there's not going to be a lot of cars in this super unlimited category, so we'll shuffle around on the timing and scoring and keep everybody up to date on what's where. I see. It is Track Mod and Super Unlimited. They will have Unlimited in a separate group, I think, by the looks of it.
That makes sense because the Unlimited group's pretty sizable.
Yeah, it is a really big group. So let's keep an eye on this Track Mod group now as we continue to circulate here. A couple of laps in to this session. And the number 19, by the way, that is Powers at a 138.011. That's Josh Powers. He's come a long way as well to participate there. Just on the outside looking in. Checkered flag already in this session. As Forsythe in the number 331. Well, there goes Dow to the top at a 130.
Nice
That's a quick lap. Really quick lap.
That's very fast here.
Now, I believe that is the Audi R8 that we pointed out earlier.
George Zhao. Yep, the Audi R8 2017 with that beautiful V10 in the back.
And this car didn't get the numbers on the side of the car. This Toyota Supra heading up the hill here. But Zhao and Zamora at the top of the Track Mod group.
Could that be Gary Wong, the 813?
It could be. And look at that beautiful Porsche heading down the hill as well.
About to be swarmed.
Yeah, there's a lot of new names and faces. We'll assimilate ourselves into this group as we get through the weekend and shave it down to the front runners here. But
yeah, Wong really on a good lap here. And great job by that Porsche driver to sense it and just get well out of the way.
No, you know what it is?
Wong the fast lap.
I think it's Robles in the 874.
Oh, that would make sense.
Yeah.
He was up into third.
Yeah, I did catch the numbers. He's not running our door card, which he's supposed to be, so I'm going to call him out for that. It's hard to read black on silver. That's why we do black on white. But there it is, Robles in the Supra. So third quick at a 131.621 and 7/10 down from Zhao, but well clear of the 135.6 that is at the cut line at the moment. And so he will be at this point in the podium sprint. Let's check back in on Riley Stair, still at a 36.629, but I bet that this car is going to get faster and faster as Riley gets acclimated to the racetrack. You just can't take a car that fast and immediately be on it without putting yourself at risk. So there's a good reason for taking it easy here in the first couple sessions out.
Every once in a while, you just have to exercise a little bit of well-deserved, caution's not the right word, but conservative. Just be a little conservative, going out hard early here. Wow, that was a great lap. But look how close it is again. Look at, that 130.9, great lap for Zhao, but a 31.2, 31.6 for those top three. Really close. Yeah,
really close. Jessica Powers is here as well. Josh and Jessica Powers with us this weekend. Yo Cutla has run GLTC in the past. We haven't seen him in a while since he moved to the West Coast. Again, we're following all of our friends back over here to WeatherTech Raceway Laguna Seca. There is a wrecker heading out there on the hook, so let's see if it goes and picks anybody up before we send unlimited cars on the way. And let me clear this graphic off the screen so we can see who we're looking at the top of the corkscrew there. What a great vantage point that is up there at the top of the hill.
It really is. Just the view of the corkscrew is spectacular, but from up there, just the view of this entire valley is just absolutely stunning. And there's so much around here, obviously relatively close to the coast. and Monterey Bay, which is incredible in its own right. But the topography here is absolutely beautiful, and that was one of the cool things when they built this track. This was back in the day when they built tracks. They just basically took a bulldozer out and kind of just said, well, let's turn here.
I likened it to building a racetrack on an alien asteroid. It's like it's just
a great
all the holes in the earth we just built down. It has to drop 4 stories, just pave down the hill and
just do it.
There's a lot of racetracks that are paved in hilly areas, but not in necessarily rocky bluffs like this. And
yes.
It creates a really unique facility. Again, that hasn't really fundamentally changed all that much besides that additional set of corners in 1988.
Yeah, and the old track was just wickedly fast. When you went straight from turn 2 up to what is now turn 5, and there was a huge wall on the outside that you would just be running up against here. And the lap times they were getting around that track back in the 80s in like the 57-second range. That's insanely fast.
Yeah.
Yeah,
really, really quick. So waiting on our unlimited group now to come back around, and we'll turn them loose for a couple more minutes. And there's some really fun cars in this group in particular here, Greg. As soon as we're done with this is effectively it for the NOS Energy Track Battle coverage for today. There's still plenty more tomorrow, but we are getting close to the point where we should tell you what's happening for the rest of the day, which will be the Rush SR Series Race 1. That'll happen right after this. We'll have some drift. I'll be joined by Cerise Taylor for that. And then GRIDLIFE Touring Cup Race 1 at around 4:50 Pacific. Again, we're going to be pushing a little bit later, maybe 10-15 minutes later than that, maybe 5 o'clock, followed by Model 3 Challenge to end the day. So that's what's coming up here as the Unlimited group heads out on course. Of course, leading it is Sasha Anise in his Nissan 350Z, or what is left of it. This car ran in the mid-51-second range at Lime Rock Park earlier this year, set a new record. And here is Robin Shute. This is a car I was waiting for.
Yeah.
The TCS FS Hill Climb car that he took to a class victory earlier this season. Completely obliterated and sent to Narnia, a track record at Willow Springs a couple of weeks ago by like 8 seconds. It wasn't even close. So this car, I think, is capable of getting the overall track record here, which is in the mid-105s. I think it's possible, and he's going for it here this weekend.
TCS, what is this? Is this car based on? What chassis is that?
I
or is that just built from? They do have people that just build hill climb cars right from the ground up, but it looks similar to that it might be prototype based or something. But wow, pretty car. And hey, I may have got the Pontiac Firebird, but you got the KTM when we were up on the hillside.
Yep.
You nailed it.
Was it
That's
KTM?
The GT2.
Oh, good. Okay.
That's the GT2.
Oh, it is a GT2. Okay, I know that car is relatively new.
Yeah.
And I actually saw one at Indianapolis a couple of weeks ago. So that's all good news. Here comes Robin Shute, though. This is also going to be a super unlimited car, by the way. So we'll keep our eye on that ticker instead.
Ooh, big plume of smoke out of the back, though. And that wasn't lockup.
No. So maybe it's
I don't think.
turbo pushing out
That could be
more gas than Jupiter's got in its orbit through. These things. This car
in the red spot.
Have you seen this car up close yet, Greg?
No.
This car. At Willow Springs, it was defying gravity. This car is so unreal. It weighs less than an Indy car and makes double the power. So it should be pretty quick.
Yeah, no kidding. And some seriously aggressive aero.
Yeah.
Which is, like I said, this is a massive. Holy
See,
cow.
I told you it's quick.
Yeah, you
see
did.
how fast that thing went through turn 6? It's flying.
Unbelievable. And like I said, this is a huge high downforce track to start with. Ooh.
Throttling up now through rainy curve.
Wait. There it is.
Oh, he's going to catch some traffic right by it. That'll wake you up.
That guy's probably.
Were those the other cars?
Yeah.
And everybody just getting out of the way because they know how fast. And I think Robin came in here knowing that he was going to have to navigate some traffic. But let's see what lap time this thing can set here at WeatherTech Raceway Laguna Seca. Across the stripe, a 1:15, 1:56.
Oh, my goodness.
Not a bad starting spot, if I say so myself.
No. And we've been talking about, the outright track record here with this layout is a 105 something.
Yeah.
By one of Michael Schumacher's Formula One championship winning Ferraris in the hands of, I think, Marc Genet. during a Ferrari days.
Yep.
So, 10 seconds off a Formula One lap on your first flyer.
just blitz by a Super Trofeo and a McLaren like it's
Yeah.
nothing. So now, again, he's really going to get one shot at this in traffic before it. But really, what I'm excited for is his podium sprint opportunity tomorrow afternoon.
Yes.
When the fog is lifted, it's going to be a cool afternoon tomorrow. He's going to get 2 laps all to himself to perform, and that'll be a lot of fun to watch. There's that KTM GT2 that you and I were trying to figure out before. A really neat-looking car, and
Really
very, very new car also.
Yeah. The KTM Crossbow, the GT4 car and everything just looked, interesting, sexy, weird. Compared, this looks like an absolutely stunning prototype.
It does. And actually, it reminded me a lot of, for those that are familiar with the Forza gaming franchise, the Mercedes-AMG 1, which is basically a prototype sort of GT car that Mercedes built. I think Lewis Hamilton probably has one.
Yeah.
but and he's going by
If
Sasha.
anybody's got one.
Yeah. It reminded me of that from the front.
Hey, look who's out there.
Yeah, Sasha Anise. He's already laid down a 1:23.5, so hello. Dio Shihara and his Pikes Peak Hill Climb car just ran a 26.6 as well, so really quick laps. Now, Dio Shihara's car and Sasha Anise, if these qualify as production cars, Greg, that is a track record in production cars by a lot, by 5 seconds.
That's a great point.
I mean, I would classify Dies. I mean, Dies is an S2000, right? So yeah, that's an S2000. So that's a production car record by 2 seconds.
That's incredible.
I mean, you could argue Sasha's car maybe, but I'm not sure you could argue Dies.
No, I would agree with you on that.
So we're already cooking with grease here on Friday afternoon, as the KTM.
Cooking with grease.
Yeah.
I've heard cooking with gas. Never heard cooking.
Maybe it's cooking with gas. Maybe I just said it wrong, but I mean, there's Dye again. Improves to a 125.526, up to second place. That is quick around here. Again, I think we all circled Dewey DeWitt as the driver that would take down the record, but I'll tell you what, Sasha and Dye already below it, and actually 4 of the top 5 cars are below that production car record.
That's just stunning.
And remember that in Unlimited, you have to have a VIN number to qualify for the Unlimited class. If you have a VIN number, that's a production car, Greg. That's my excuse. All these cars broke the record.
I would think. I mean, that sounds legit to me. And as we say that, the 714 of Annis goes a 123.5. Right as Yoshihara gets close, and just finds another second.
And Radishel there in the 789 goes up to a 131.094.
Yeah, half second on that cut point here.
Yep. Michael Essa's joining us here this weekend in Unlimited, up to 8th place in class in the number 620 car, 134.661. Here comes Yoshihara now into turn 10. Looks like he's on a bit of a cool down. CGA in the number 642 up to a 125.26. Yeah, this is going to get fun and Unlimited, Greg. We knew that.
It is. This is,
Well, here's Robin going for another lap here.
And, every once in a while you get into these limited and unlimited classes where the gaps are massive, right?
Yeah.
Somebody's just nailed it. But in that unlimited, it's so cool when you got times that are going to be that close potentially.
Yeah, Chute did pick up to a 114.559.
Wow.
And that was with traffic. So get him a clear road, and he'll be one to contend with here. The other 2 cars that are in this list are LMP3 chassis, one of which I know is a Ginetta that ran in the Asian Le Mans series. And I don't know the origins of the other, but it's running with the Race Service Group here this weekend alongside their Mercedes-AMG GT3. Now, this white GR86, this is not what the eye tells you it is. This is the Scalar Performance GR86. That car is an EV swap, and it makes about 325 horsepower or so and only weighs about 3,000 pounds, but entirely electric GR86.
Really?
Yeah.
Oh, that's interesting.
Very cool car, I think.
Yeah.
And a couple of cars chasing in behind that. This McLaren and the Lamborghini combination, they've run nose to tail all day like this.
They really have.
Yeah.
And, talk about, bringing something special to as we're on our final lap here, to the unlimited category with some of these supercars and giving them a place to be able to come and show off and have some fun. That's been great, too.
Yeah, and as we head down the hill, that is the one of the LMP3s that I was talking about earlier. Now, this is a Ginetta chassis that ran in the Asian Le Mans series, and it has all the stickers on the inside from that series, so it retains a bit of the character from back when it ran. This is a 2014 chassis, so no longer homologated for competition, but what a great track toy to have. I think this would be, I mean, just you got these V8s that are kind of detuned and can run forever, and it just must be obviously not an inexpensive car to buy, but I think as a track toy, that if you've got the means, that's probably a pretty good place to go.
I think you're right. I think the run costs, once you make that outlay, are really reasonable, as you said, because the engine's a lot of torque, good horsepower, but still, as you said, detuned significantly. And so you can just go run them and run them and run them, and they'll just give you huge hours upon hours of enjoyment. These guys are just in lockstep.
Yeah, I think they must be doing this obviously on purpose. The 620 is one of them. That's Michael Essa.
Yep.
And then behind, I didn't get a look at the number on the side of the Lamborghini, but
I think that's Damon Fryer.
Ah, yes, you're right. Yes, he was actually I think he was at Willow Springs with us as well. And just for reference on Robin Schutz's time versus that Lamborghini at Willow Springs, it was like a 20-second lap difference
Is that right?
at a 1.7-mile track. So it's
1.7 miles.
Look, or maybe it's 1.2. It's small. It's a tiny little racetrack.
Yep.
So pretty wild stuff all around. Let's have a quick look here at our unlimited results in particular. That's our largest group we had out there in that session. Sasha Anise, Dai Yoshihara, Craig Coker, James Kirkham, Simon Cigier, all in that top 5, advancing to the podium sprint in the unlimited class. And then Ryan Redichel, just about a second to find if he wants to be a part of that conversation come Saturday afternoon.
And again, that's just going to all compress a little bit tomorrow when we get 2 more of these sessions and more track time, fingers crossed.
Yeah.
Because you can see in the background, there's that pesky little marine layer. It's never far away here. And then that was just a fabulous run by Sasha. And then Robin Shoot. Let me look at that lap. That's just stupid.
This is like a lap that you'd expect like almost out of Lime Rock, right?
Exactly.
This track is 2.2 miles. To do 1:14 around here is just unbelievable. Jason Chin, Silas Montgomery, and Riley Stair, who is in that Firebird, now that we've officially knocked that down. All of those drivers will be advancing. I actually don't know the protocol here for the podium sprint because we typically don't have this many cars in Super Unlimited, so they're going to get their own podium sprint group, which they typically wouldn't. They would run as part of the Unlimited group. So this will be fun to watch this weekend, especially with Robin going for that overall track record.
Well, and just seeing, these Super Unlimited cars out and getting 2 laps really by themselves, not having to worry about traffic, just getting after it. Yeah, that's going to be mega.
So we've got racing coming up here shortly. It is going to be the Rush SR Series coming up in just a moment's time. We're going to take a quick break, and we'll be back with Rush SR Racing from WeatherTech Raceway Laguna Seca.
Born on the track, bred on the mountains, raised on the podium, ready for anything and everything. Learn more about our entire line at falcontire.com.
When you come to pit road, all 4 of you stay in the car.
Need that fire truck.
Hi, I'm Chris Forsberg, and I want to tell you about Valvoline's Flex-Fill Gear Oil, which is designed by car people for car people. It comes in a pouch, which is specifically made to work in tight spaces, and it saves me time versus the old pumping method, so I can focus on things like keeping my drivetrain running clean. Unlike the pump, the flex-fill pouch leaves no wasted oil and no wasted time. Plus, it keeps my garage nice and clean from any spills. All you gotta do is put the nozzle where you need some oil, give it a squeeze, and you're ready for the road. That's why I protect everything in my garage with Valvoline. Valvoline, trusted for over 150 years.
Well, this West Coast journey has been all about new experiences here at GRIDLIFE Laguna. For many, it's a new experience on a new racetrack. For some, it's a home track event for the first time ever in GRIDLIFE competition. And for some, it's a brand new racing series here at GRIDLIFE. This is Rush SR. Welcome back to GRIDLIFE Laguna. I'm Kyle Heyer, joined by Greg Kramer. And Greg, something totally new for us, these little sports racers, these Rush SR chassis, a relatively new offering in the motorsports world for a track toy, or now a wheel-to-wheel race car at an extremely affordable price.
Absolutely, as the folks from Monty Python might say, and now for something completely different. And these are, they are little pocket rockets, could be one of the best ways to describe them. And you could see, fairly narrow, fairly short wheelbase, 1-liter engines in the back. They really move. They're lightweight, about 145 horsepower at about 1,000 pounds. That's a pretty good power-to-weight ratio. It's comparable to a GT3 car. I mean, that's the kind of performance that they offer up. And the cool thing is, because they're so small, Kyle, you can run them at most of the big kart tracks. They will fit on and be able to, to drive there, but they also are perfectly capable at a bigger venue like this.
Yeah, so these cars are powered by a small 1,000 cc engine, but have basically a power to weight ratio of 375 horsepower per ton, which is a lot. And we should also mention that they are under $40,000, including $7,500 of options, which are mostly related to electronics and systems in the car, but they all come with that 1-liter engine. You can find out more about them on the RushAutoWorks.com website. And honestly, especially if you're in the California region with all these drivers here, they're exploring some more options to race more continuously. This is part of that California Dreaming event series. They've got their Sonoma event that happened a couple of weeks ago, and then they're finishing that off here at WeatherTech Raceway Laguna Seca. Race here is going to be sprint race format, just like GLTC. We're going to have 4 of these races over the course of the weekend. But I don't have any idea how this is going to go, Greg. At least in GRIDLIFE, I've only ever called multi-make, multi-drivetrain racing. Never once have I done a single-make series, at least not here in GRIDLIFE. So this is going to be new for me, and I think new for everybody here.
Absolutely, it is. And you were talking about that power to weight, but for basically under 40 grand, you can get these cars. They have full paddle shift, clutchless upshift gearboxes, massive adjustment. Comparatively on their suspension for tuning. They have 4-pot calibers with 270 millimeter billet aluminum brakes. They stop like you wouldn't believe, and they have adjustable final drive through a limited slip diff. These things are for real, and they are really quick. And it's Federico Mosconi up on top in the number 3 in qualifying, with the number 2 of Michael Schneider alongside. That's your front row here. Blair Hosey in the second row, the number 8, and the number 1 of Alex Chang will start 4th.
Here we go. WeatherTech Raceway Laguna Seca. For the first time, a single-make series in GRIDLIFE. Rush SR coming to the green flag. Here we go. Green flag flies and racing in Rush SR here at WeatherTech Raceway Laguna Seca. Side by side here for the top spot as they head down through turn 1 into the Andretti hairpin. Could we be 3 wide into the first corner? Big lockup on the brakes from behind. Everybody trying to get down to second gear to make that first corner, Greg.
beautiful outside move, just ramped the outside, but ran just a little wide, had to lift, and ends up slotting back into the second spot. So they are out and after it really, really quick here. And you can see, because these cars are so narrow, you can run them 3-4 wide around a large portion of this track. Here we go, coming up through the exit of turn 4, getting ready to start that climb.
And it's Mosconi still in front there with the green numbering on the front of the nose. There's the red car in tow. We'll have to wait till they come back around to reorder the timing and scoring. But up towards turn number 6, a front 3 breakaway here. And then a bit of a gap back to the purple car. That was the car that had the lockup going into the first corner. They got it all slowed down and pointed the right direction. A bit of an awkward shunt there through the Andretti hairpin. But look at the downforce these cars generate through turn 6 and a lead battle here into the corkscrew.
Really, really stout. Then a slight gap back to a great battle for 4th. And then there's another gap back to, it looks like a 3 or 4 car battle behind them. But the first time down through Rainey here at speed, and they're really wide by the purple car. Haven't caught that number, but beautiful save. Just hung on to it, but probably cost him. He dropped off by about a couple of lengths.
Yeah, this is Hosey in second, by the way. The number 8 car has filtered into P2. Now up onto the rumble strips at the exit of 11. 5 car spin, final corner. 1 car turns around in 11. And kind of out of the racing line enough, but you see the yellow flag waving at the top left of the screen there. Local yellow, as everyone will not be able to pass until they clear that incident and pass the next non-yellow station.
And did a nice job waiting, then got the car turned around, lost a lot of positions, obviously. Ooh. But Mosconi, Hosey, Schneider, who had qualified second, slips to third. Chang holding on to that 4th spot. And Sam Kim, who qualified 5th, sitting in that 5th spot right now.
Yeah, so Kim is in that purple 153 car at the tail of this. But we're going to have a battle for the lead. I think Hosey's a bit quicker than Mosconi. And in the draft, that will be a big key here. We mentioned earlier you can't really draft a lot at this racetrack in a big car. But in these cars that don't make a lot of power, and they have a fairly sizable wake because they don't have that smooth top roof, they're going to generate some draft here, and it'll be fun to watch.
They absolutely will. And, obviously, whenever you're in a spec series, and especially, boy, that was a wide run by Alex Chang. He is pushing hard. When you're in a spec series, that is by design, a lower horsepower, a big lockup again by Schneider, little lower horsepower car. That run all the way from 5 up into the corkscrew, from 11 into Andretti, you're going to want to get a little bit of a toe there. Really wide run by Mosconi.
Yeah, he's pushing the limits there at the Exeter Rainey curve, but Hosey's keeping him tight, and Hosey's been a bit less frantic looking than Schneider behind him and Mosconi ahead of him, so keeping him in touch here. And maybe if he can just outlast the car ahead. I don't know how long the tires are going to last, if they're going to burn them off in this short race or what. But so far, it's been pretty neat and tidy up here up front. And they've actually dispatched Schneider. It's just the top 2 right now breaking away. Here comes Hosey up the inside for 1, but bailed out of it.
Yep, just set fast lap as well. The one thing that I'm noticing, and it's exactly what you were talking about, looking a bit more tidy, he's not using anywhere near as much racetrack to run as fast or faster than Mosconi right now. And so that's a pretty good indicator. Ooh, showed the nose going into turn 4. You've got to be way up alongside before that. But he is serving notice to Mosconi right now that he's got a little bit more pace. He's going to come after.
Is he flashing the headlights? I saw the LED strips flashing there on the nose, trying everything he can just to distract Mosconi here on the run up to 6. And if these two start to battle, Schneider's not that far back. Chang, Kim, they're all in discussion here with this front group.
I think Schneider may have closed up back just a little bit on them again. He dropped off at start-finish to the tune of about 1.2 seconds, but he looks a little closer than that there as you see him coming back into the frame. Look at this shot falling down the side of this mountain in the corkscrew car.
10 stories from top to bottom there, and Mosconi a little wide there again, but he's cleaner that time through and pulled a bit of a gap on Hosey. I just wonder how far back the draft is going to be effective. I wouldn't imagine past maybe 10 car lengths that you'd feel much of that. And once you're past that draft distance, you can just execute better and drive away. And that's what Mosconi's going to try to do up front as the rest of the field streams down the hill.
Well, and I wonder if Mosconi started with a little bit lower tire pressure thinking he wanted a car that was going to be fast later. And these cars are so lightweight, it's going to take them time to get temp in those tires. And Mosconi's car, as he just now sets fast lap, that car might now be coming in for him.
This green car is Burgess, the 12th place, number 51, chasing Melnick in the 35. That's the teal and red just up the road. The green and orange, I suppose, as they head up the front straightaway through one to kink there to the left. And brake lights earlier on Burgess's car. Just behind them is Garcia in the number 18, the orange, white, and blue machine. But back to the front, right back on it. And this is going to be this back and forth game. Yes. Drafting up to it, maybe losing the nose in the aero wash in tow. And then the wings on these cars aren't enormous. They're pretty lightweight and actually kind of hollow, so they kind of shake and shimmy a little bit. You have to wonder in the really high downforce corners how much they can trust it and lean on it. But so far, they look pretty glued down.
They do, and the guy who's kind of impressing me right now is the number 1 of Alex Chang, because he is starting to close up on Schneider and running them down. And Schneider, that last time by, had lost a little bit. He looks like he's really good up the climb and up through 6 into the corkscrew, and then he starts to lose a little bit of ground. But Chang is starting to close up here. And, Hosey got a great run through 10, dives to the inside.
Here goes Hosey up the inside at 11. Can he hang on there? Crossover spin for Mosconi. The leader's around at turn 11. He'll get back underway, back to first gear, punch that sequential shifter back into motion, but he will lose 3 spots first to fourth just like that.
But look at that short little wheelbase. You spin, you just spin like a top and get going again.
Yep. Did a nice job getting going again and didn't stall out the car or anything like that. That would have put him in a much
fourth.
Yeah, big lockup again from Kim into the Andretti hairpin. And now the battle resumes with Schneider and Chang here. This one hasn't been hot since the opening lap.
Yeah, and you could see what happened there when Mosconi went around. He tried to square up underneath Hosey and get to out of the throttle early, and he just overlit it a little bit, and it snapped around on him.
So now we've kind of single filed out the leaders for a moment. Now we're going to see how the gaps ebb and flow. It's 1.6 from Hosey back to Schneider. From Mosconi back to Kim, it was about a second at the line. You have to wonder if there was any flat spotted in the tire. Didn't skid for very long, so I don't think it'll be a huge concern. And the cars are light, but a little wide there for Chang leaving turn 6. That's not a corner you get a lot of play with either.
No, I mean, it's, you get out on that little green exit strip, and once you're firmly on that, you don't ever want to overstep it because you're right into that gravel. And for these little cars, it'll just park them in a heartbeat. So great shots here from the drone down the hill into 10. And from this height, you don't really see the banking in that turn. It's pretty stout. And you can really, as we've said before, just kind of pitch the car in there and it'll catch and just ramp you down into 11.
Yeah, Schneider closed in the braking zone. We jump back to a bit of a scrap between Garcia, Burgess, and Melnick, just outside the top 10 for Garcia and Burgess. So Hosey ran a personal best up front, but Schneider went quickest of everybody and closed into 1.2 seconds back rather than 1.6. So there's a gap close. The 51, little bobble there through turn 10. That will leave him vulnerable to Garcia, who's in that number 18 in tow there.
Well, you talked about Schneider. He may be another one that started with a little bit lower tire pressure, wanting the car to be quick a little bit later in this race because he's coming on, and he has trimmed a lot of that deficit he had over the last few laps. He had dropped off pretty significantly and is now, as you said, setting fast laps in this race.
Yeah, Showalter also went personal best. So did Long in the 512. That's down in 14th and 15th place. This 18 car, that's the orange and blue, has Burgess in sight. That's the green and yellow just ahead of him, sizing him up here through turn 4, or 3 rather. It's a tricky section to kind of line up because they have those inside apex anti-cut curbs, and if you try to get an early run on exit and you try to really apex tight, you'll bounce these things to the moon. They will not take those big curbs very well. The rumble strip's just fine, but the yellow anti-cuts, I don't think anybody's car here will handle those very well.
No, you hit those firmly, and it's at best is going to launch you, at worst is going to break something. And so you've got to be really mindful of it. But, yeah, right now Garcia got a great run through 5, up through 6. Don't know if he's going to be close enough, Kyle, to try anything up into the corkscrew. But boy, he is showing intent, isn't
It's tough to make a pass in there, too. If you can get to the left, then you're just on the wrong side of the track for the rest of the downhill. So I don't know that It's a great overtaking opportunity. Schneider closed in again on Hosey. It's under a second, and Chang went personal best as well. So those top three are going to continue to accordion back together at the front of the field all while we're watching this battle for 10th.
And I'll tell you what, I think that the pace of the attack here by Garcia on Burgess is pushing Burgess up to Melnick. And, and a big lockup as a big dive move down to the inside.
And that was through goes Garcia on Burgess, but Burgess right back on exit. That was a nice launch for the green car. Locked up on the entry, but managed to get it woe down and served him on exit. Now Kim is dropping down the order. The 153, Greg, was 6th and has fallen down to at least 13th, if not more than that. Yeah, it's going to be maybe he hit pit lane even.
Yeah, that's there he is. That's the problem.
That's on driver's left entering turn 10, I believe. So that's after Rainy Curve.
So that puts Melnick up into 9th, Burgess 10th, Garcia in 11th.
Oh, wobble on the brakes there. That's for the lead, Hosey and Schneider.
Pressure here is starting to ramp up.
Again, these short wheelbase cars, they're not going to take a lot of sliding and slipping. They're not going to balance on the edge of control very nicely beyond a certain slip limit. So you have to be conscious of that. They are downforce cars at the end of the day as far as the power and weight is concerned.
And probably the most critical skill to have in these cars in terms of driving them really fast is quick hands.
Absolutely.
Because these short wheelbase, they just step out really, really suddenly.
And
let's see what happens.
That was, I think that's Checkers, Greg. I think that was
wow,
Checkers.
okay,
and
yep.
Coming back to it, didn't catch the white, but Hosey on top of the order there. Schneider just 9/10 back, was in tow with a strong chase there. Maybe a couple more laps he could have had a shot at him. But Chang, Mosconi, Madison, Robichaud, Glurloff, Deganese, and then Melnick and Burgess, the rest of your top 10. Pretty interesting fight, first one out.
It really was, and who knows what would have happened had we not had the spin by our pole sitter, Rasconi. But, to me, Hosey got the memo, and on that last lap, reset fast lap to protect that margin over Schneider. So, great piece of driving. I mean, Hosey did a couple of things right, didn't he? He pressured big time, got the leader to spin, and then was able to withstand pressure from a fast-closing Schneider and respond. Hosey, that was a really good race.
Yeah, really well executed, and you have to feel for Mosconi, had such a strong start, and then just the slightest of slips in turn 11, looped it around, got back rolling, still steals the top 5, and that will benefit him in this multi-race format to stay up near the front. But just have to give a shout-out to the drivers here. First race like this at a GRIDLIFE event, and other than the spin that we saw, pretty clean and tidy, I think.
Clean, quick, and using all the track, really pushing hard. Question, and I realize this is the first time they're here. Since they're doing the 4 15-minute races like GLTC does, will the fast lap in this one now set the grid for tomorrow?
That's a good question.
Yeah,
I anticipate it to be, as far as I know, that they're running their own show just in our track time. So we'll see exactly how they plan to do it. So again, I think shuffling in here in such a chaotic day, there might be some changes and shuffles to the order throughout the weekend. But that'll do it for the Rush SR group. What a fun, interesting format. And we got plenty more of those tomorrow. We've still got more coming up today, though. We're going to jump to break briefly in just a moment. We'll head to Drift after that, followed by GRIDLIFE Touring Cup, race number 1 on the weekend, Model 3 Challenge Heat 1, and we'll end the day there as Drift circulates here just prior to 6 p.m. Pacific time. We'll be right back after this for Drift with Cerise Taylor and myself. We'll be back in just a moment.
Born on the track, bred on the mountains, raised on the podium, ready for anything and everything. Learn more about our entire line at falcontire.com.
Hi, I'm Chris Forsberg, and when it comes to classics and high-performance cars, I only trust America's #1 racing oil, Valvoline VR1. It's built on Valvoline's long legacy in racing, so I can continue to build my own. With 2 times more zinc than the industry standard, VR1's high-performance formula is tested on the track and trusted on the road to ensure your engine is protected from metal-to-metal contact. And I use it so much, I haven't got my car on the bottle. That's why whether I'm racing or cruising, I protect everything I drive with Valvoline. Valvoline, trusted for over 150 years.
Well, it may have just been a pipe dream for drivers maybe a decade ago joining GridLife to one-day drift at the Corkscrew at WeatherTech Raceway Laguna Seca, but today we are doing it. Welcome to GridLife Laguna, a celebration of speed and noise and sound, and we are drifting at the legendary WeatherTech Raceway Laguna Seca. Kyle Heyer joined by Cerise Taylor. Cerise, this is an unbelievable show here today for all the fans, for all the drivers to get to drift this legendary track.
It is, like you said, it's a dream come true. And as I'm standing at any particular part of the track, it looks like a video game. All of these drivers out here have only ever gotten to get that feel for this track and the Corkscrew when they're on a sim. And now they're putting their money where their mouth is. And let me tell you, I just caught up with Ryan, my cameraman. The elevation, like this, it does not even do it justice, how steep this is. If you've ever been on like a NASCAR track and you feel that serious incline of the bank, I mean, you're looking at that for, I don't know what, quarter mile?
Yeah,
more?
It's a long. Whoa! They're throwing these things in there so hard. I went over there. I got to actually watch the first drift session from the Corkscrew, and it's a 4-story drop from the top of the Corkscrew to the bottom. It's 10 stories from the top of the Corkscrew to the bottom of Rainy Curve, which is the left-hander after. It's an insane drop, and the elevation plays havoc with how you land the car to set up for the next slide. So it's been really fun to watch the drivers figure it out. But you mentioned the video game. Isn't that so similar to what we did with Circuit Legends in Lime Rock Park? So similar to where they've only experienced the track in Forza or iRacing or some other simulator, and here they are doing it for real.
Truly, I mean,
look at that.
They're grown-ups with dreams, and then they get to live those dreams in real life now. So this is a really, really special event. And as I was catching up with some of the drivers down there, I mean, it's blind, dude. It's super blind. You come down and you just pray to God that, one, if you're following somebody in a tandem, that they're not right there and they have landed it perfectly, and that the track is still there on the other side once you get there. So, I mean, it's just been incredible. And some of these drivers out here are just, I really want to see TJ rip some out there. I know that the Supra was having some issues. It was kind of going into lip mode, and maybe that's, if you didn't catch up with him earlier, that's why we weren't seeing too much smoke from him, but I hope he figured that out. I know Dylan Hughes and Travis Reeder we caught up with them. They were both dealing with some technical issues with both of their cars, with the E36 and the E46. Now they're coming off of a year of FD, so this is incredible to see any FD cars that are out here today. I mean, not only have they gotten through their season, hopefully proud of their accomplishments, but now they get to just have fun. And the caliber of driving is super high still. I mean, we have a limited invitation-only drivers list. There we go. Okay, Dylan, getting rowdy. You see you out there. And you just, it's the highest caliber driving. So thank you very much, WeatherTech Raceway, for inviting us and trusting us. Michael Essa, my good old friend Michael Essa in the FCP or E46. That car is dialed in. I'm so excited to see him out here once again. He's here with the DDE crew. And all right.
Well,
a little wide.
Sending a bumper for a slide, but that's part of the show.
Interesting.
I did want to also send a shout out. I haven't gotten a shot of them yet, I don't think, but the Zielinski crew is here this weekend. Yeah. They're up by us, the Extreme Graphics crew, and I owe them a huge thank you because they're doing us a big favor getting some decals on our Hyundai Elantra and pace car here this weekend. We couldn't get them on before we came here, and they have just been the best. We're like, oh yeah, we'll do that for you. Just bring the car over. We'll do it they're just great. So
I will back up that shout out.
Yeah.
They are some of the nicest, most generous, helping hand ready kind of people. So that is wonderful.
Zelinski's are great. So big thanks to them. I hope we get them on camera at least once here today. And before we get too much further, we would like to thank the coverage of GridLife Laguna, brought to you by Hyundai. GridLife Live is powered by Hyundai N. Hyundai N, never just drive. And Falcon, the official tire of GridLife Track Battle. And Eibach, race springs engineered to win. Big thanks to all those partners and people for making it happen. Dodging the bumper there on the uphill from turn 5 up to 6. Greg and I spent a long time today talking about the challenges of this racetrack from a grip perspective, but all of them are magnified when you're spending half your time sliding. So it's just a really wild lap when you're gripping, let alone when you're trying to slide the car here through rainy curve like this, using the runoff just a touch. Back to the right here for turn 10, but looks like that lap is about over as they head back to pit lane. But 2.2 miles around here, same length as Gingerman, same length as Mid-Ohio, but a whole lot more happens in those 2 miles.
Yes, exactly. I was talking to one of the drivers as well, and they were saying, I don't know if it's going to feel like Circuit Legends. It could be a lot different because you have a completely different layout, but the way that it's broken up, you get that same level of satisfaction. I think that was a big takeaway for me. That it's fulfilling.
Yeah, do we have Literal here this weekend? I did see Literal here, so he's on track right behind this group. There's Robert Thorne off a very successful season in FD.
Absolutely.
Chasing right now. Saw Pete Collins in the background, tandeming already through turn 10.
Yeah, Pete Collins, an unsung hero, guys. If you haven't been following for the majority of the season, Pete Collins and his E46, I mean, dude, he gets after it.
He brought us donuts this morning, too, so bonus points for bringing Kyle donuts.
And he always runs side-by-sides, and he'll just, like, dish them out to people like, yo, you want to go on this side-by-side and have a little fun? And everyone's like, yeah, dude, of course. That's why I'm at GridLife.
Oh, man, look at that.
This is incredible. I mean, it's truly, we are watching from just above now here at GridLife. We have the arcade set up, and there is a VIP section right above that, which I'm honored to be able to go and watch these drivers for the first time ever. And, you know, I was talking to Sean, who is on the GridLife team, and he said something that was actually very sobering. And he said, as we're watching these cars come around just from the bottom of the corkscrew, coming through the straight into that last turn, the track has never looked like this. So the perspectives that we're seeing right here with the smoke just like billowing off of it, like just like buckets of milk. I mean, it is, we've never seen this before, and it's a very, very special and momentous occasion.
I just can't imagine, like we said, the video game thing earlier, how many drivers have played Forza or whatever game and taken screenshots doing this. We've got a Hyundai TCR chasing around here as well, which is super cool.
Yep.
Just adding to the spectator experience. As part of a full weekend of racing with Rush SR, Model 3, GLTC, Track Battle, Drift, it is the full GridLife experience here. We've got music tomorrow night as well.
So excited.
Performing. I mean, this is the most hype event that we've had really since Circuit Legends earlier in the year, GridLife Midwest Festival. But California, you wanted the GridLife experience. This is the GridLife experience.
I'm so glad that you said that, because what this is really cool is that, yes, we have like individuals that come from the West Coast to these other, you know, events that we have either in the Midwest or the East Coast, and not everybody has the ability to do that.
Yeah.
So being able to bring GridLife to the West Coast, I mean, anybody that's here from this area, we're so happy that you've joined us. We're so happy that you get to experience this firsthand and be at such a crazy historic.
Yeah. Who else did you catch up with earlier? We haven't seen any of the interviews you've done yet, but give us a little preview of what we're going to see.
One of them was with Justin Pollock, and now he was telling me, this little sneaky fella. He was like, I'm definitely getting out there first. He was like first to hit the track, and he was like, you know, it's just insane. I was talking to his crew as we were waiting for him to come out of his hauler, and he was like, dude, the energy that he had when he got back here was unmatched. And I think that that's something that, you know, we all take for
a little too much,
a
little too much sauce, over-sauced it.
Is that these professionals still get excited.
Yeah.
And so he was like, you know, I could have maybe been one of the first people to drift this full course, and that was such an honor. So he was having a very humbling moment. Kelsey Rowlings, as we just saw here, I caught up with her. She's coming off of FD as well.
There's TJ.
And, you know, there we go. There we go. There we go. All right, keep it up, buddy.
TJ Hunt down the hill with
the Supra. And okay. We'll get back to Kelsey in just a second. Now, we have SEMA coming up.
Yeah.
Very, very shortly after this. So a lot of these drivers are going to stay out here with the cars. This one here, this Supra, is going to be the booth car. And so he's like, dude, I really don't want to wreck this thing. I really want to go out there and just make sure that I can bring it intact. And I was like, bro, if you do, for whatever reason, crash this car, God willing, it's not going to happen. What a story, you know? You're a hard driver. You've driven us some very technical tracks, and you've done the car justice. So This really was really cool to catch up with him. Forrest Wang as well. I mean, one thing that I took away from my conversation with Forrest is that he's typically used to the stylistic driving, that really kind of snappy with the transitions, really giving the people a show. And of course, we'd love to see that here. It's grid life. We're here for a good time, you know, hopefully a long time too. So the car is looking great. He said it's feeling really good. As you can see, he's just
oh man, what a great
balls to the wall, dude.
The right front tire just lifted right over that curb there.
Yeah.
It just right over.
Just took it.
The confidence he has is unbelievable.
Justin Pollock, who's driving right behind him, he's obviously a very skilled driver. He's been driving that car since 2016, bro. He has had so much seat time.
I graduated high school in 2016.
All right. Are you serious?
Yeah, I'm dead serious.
Dude, don't do that.
Sorry.
I'm still young.
Greg got mad at me for saying
like
earlier. We couldn't figure out what a car was in Time Attack, and I was like, I wasn't even born yet when this car was made.
Oh my god.
I'm sorry. I'm too young. I told him I grew up with Scion XBs. Those were the cool things when I was a kid.
Right. Okay. Well, yes, you are well beyond your years. You definitely prove yourself. Age is but a number.
Yeah.
But yeah, so Justin Pollock has had a lot of seat time in that Mustang, and it shows. He's a phenomenal driver. Getting back to Kelsey, you know, she's got SEMA right after this, and just a shout out to like her and Z who are out here drifting, and I was making sure to let them know that they're an inspiration.
Yeah.
Just so many men and women out here, and I think that it's just notable to mention that they're still out here getting super rowdy, and they're not afraid to just absolutely send it. So big shout out to you girls. I am just so stoked to watch you every single time. It never gets old.
Love some of the drift liveries as well with the reverse graphics on the side. And
yeah, Japanese style.
Yeah, Japanese style. And I think that's such a cool homage and really neat thing to incorporate here.
It makes sense to my brain. Even though it's like backwards, I'm like, no, wait, that weirdly looks right.
Oh, it's like when you're painting a car for Assetto Corsa and you just forget to like mirror it on the other side.
Yeah,
it's like backwards. You're like, oh man, it's a mistake, but it's a good one.
You set the design up to match with the body lines, and as soon as you mirror that or you flip it around the other side of the car, it doesn't make sense anymore.
Right.
So it all goes, and they're very, like you said, they're very well designed.
Everyone's got a good side too. You always want to photograph the one side anyway.
Yeah, that's what I tell everybody before these interviews. Fun fact: I will tell a lot of these drivers, all right, you got to get on this side. This is my good side. Depending on the day.
I mean, look, if you got your graphics the right way around on the left-hand side of the car when you're heading down through the corkscrew, that's where all the photos will be, so you might as well, right? I mean,
exactly.
That's it. So
exactly. And so here we have just I was going to say something.
We're looking. We're hunting.
I was going to say something, and then I lost it, but it's all right. See, like, that's sick. So who do we have coming out here now?
That's your guess. Is this one of the Extreme cars? It is. It's one of the Zelinsky crew, the Extreme Graphics guys. And again, owe them a huge thanks for helping us out with the pace car and just the nicest
It's extreme,
people.
dude.
It's so extreme.
It looks so good. Size matters. You know what? With a wing like that, it better.
Up the hill into 6. I haven't really seen if we've been spending a lot of time sideways through 6, but Greg and I were talking about the technical complexity of this corner. Yep. A lot of flowing turns here. This one's very snappy and immediately just pulls you to the left. There's a big dip right in the center that you bottom out in, and then you have to accelerate up over to the corkscrew, and then it's a blind crest over the 4-story drop. A lot of confidence you have to get that right.
There's a couple factors to keep in mind as well. When you're on a track of this size, like you said, it's the same size as Gingerman. Now, what we have as far as elevation changes with Gingerman, you can kind of see the whole layout, right?
Yeah.
So if the drone is shooting at any point, you can get that perspective as far as, okay, yes, this is the target area where you want to be drifting. This is where you want to do either a cool down lap, or like here on the corkscrew, you can't necessarily see it, but off to the right, there's a lot of people that are sitting there watching. So 2 things. 1, you don't have tires to last the whole track. Your car is going to overheat, and you want to put on a good show. So being selective with where you actually get into drift is something that all of these drivers are considering.
Yeah, look at TJ hanging it out sideways. Did a nice job there through the corkscrew. Just really well. It wasn't the biggest commitment, but as you said, trying to preserve the car, but very clean transitions and everything, which is what I think he's focusing on here.
That Supra is pretty stock.
We saw it at CMP early in the year without the livery on it and everything, and he spent a lot of time dialing it in. Actually, I lent him remember at CMP I lent him my phone because I was dealing with an Android.
He needed an Android. I was like, all right, I'm gonna find a dork with an Android.
They needed to get access to some like BMW app or something to like check a code or something like that. But they could only use an Android
are shaking
phone.
in their booth right now. They're like, see, Androids are better.
Yeah, but they got it sorted and they went off to have a successful weekend. He's been with us at basically every festival tour event this season. So super glad to have them here with us this weekend, as we always are.
Absolutely. And obviously we have the meet and greet. So if you've ever come to a GRIDLIFE event or if you plan on coming to one next year, we do a meet and greet.
Woo!
Dude, this guy, so he's with Z. And
I was going to ask if he was here.
Yeah, he is. He's one. He's on the team. He's one of the mechanics. But everybody that comes out that is just so involved with the community, whether they're a YouTuber or they're a professional driver, whatever it is, They get really, really into it with the crowd. Okay.
Boy.
I
was gonna say, if he sent it any harder, if he sent it hard over the corkscrew, he could call it the Stunting Company car. But TJ, you better trademark that before I do, because that's good.
I pray to God you did not just jinx him.
Oh,
no, he's going to be great. Everybody out here is having a really good time. They've all been warned. This is the what is it, pilgrim voyage of drifting here.
Yeah.
So they've all been warned, just like, please keep it easy. Please be respectful. We are very much honored that WeatherTech has invited drifting here, and we want to make sure that we instill that trust going forward. And
look at that paddock, Cerise. Look how many cars are here.
This is like the light day, too.
Yeah,
it's going to be even bigger tomorrow.
Well over 200 cars here. We haven't done any of the concourse stuff yet, any of the spectator kind of car parking. That'll be over on the inside of the track. But look at this is the way to do this here. Get your SUV or van. You get up on top. You get some cold beers.
Look at how chill they look.
Oh,
dude,
man.
You guys are vibing, and I'm here for it. With a little solo cups. All right, cool. So what time is it?
I love it. So we are probably wrapping up here soon. At least we are for drift, but we've still got more coming your way. I think they're going to go send a flatbed maybe over to get TJ here. Maybe is he rolling? I think he's rolling. Maybe he's just had to do the little control alt delete.
He's in limp mode. Yeah. So that was one thing that they were saying. They had the car in the pits and then they brought it back. The car just keeps kind of going into what its version of limp mode. So that's why the flashes will come on. Like, you don't really see drift cars that like still have flashers.
Right.
So yeah, look at him. He's coming in now. Hopefully he gets it all sorted. I'm just glad that he keeps getting out there and just trying. The grit and the tenacity of all of these drivers is you can't compare it.
Right.
I mean, you probably can, but we're not going to do that now.
Let's compare everybody and make them all feel bad, Cerise. So. All right, we're going to wrap things up here with drift, though, as the last couple cars head on in. Plenty more drift tomorrow. Hey, there's us.
That's where we are. This tent, guys, that's where we're talking to you from.
Way up on this hillside here.
What is up, guys?
We are going to step away, though. There's Greg Kramer
hey,
giving a
bud.
wave as well.
We're sitting just to the left.
Yeah.
Here we are.
We are going to get reset here for GRIDLIFE Touring Cup Race 1 coming up here very shortly. So we're going to step away, Cerise. Thanks so much. We got plenty more drift tomorrow, so make sure you come back and join us all day tomorrow, but still stuff left to do. We'll see you in a minute.
Absolutely.
Born on the track, bred on the mountains, raised on the podium, ready for anything and everything. Falcon Tires, race tested, road ready. Learn more about our entire line at falcontire.com.
Did you energize yet today? Time to NOS up. Get after it.
Hi, I'm Chris Forsberg, and when it comes to classics and high-performance cars, I only trust America's #1 racing oil, Valvoline VR1. It's built on Valvoline's long legacy in racing, so I can continue to build my own. With 2 times more zinc than the industry standard, VR1's high-performance formula is tested on the track and trusted on the road to ensure your engine is protected from metal-to-metal contact. And I use it so much, I haven't got my car on the bottle. That's why whether I'm racing or cruising, I protect everything I drive with Valvoline. Valvoline, trusted for over 150 years.
Blake, we need a commercial for GRIDLIFE. Team Ibach drivers, go.
What about Ferris?
Oh, you mean Mr. I'm the fastest Corvette time attack driver in the world? He's too busy in the spotlight right now.
What about Jackie? He's pretty good on camera.
No, he's finally got an actual BMW now, so we don't have any footage.
Essa?
Nah, he's retired now, and he's super YouTube famous.
Guteel?
That guy lives under his car doing tutorials, not interviews.
I don't know, dude, fine. Just run like B-roll of coilover springs or something.
green flag flies, and we're racing in GRIDLIFE Touring Cup.
Side by side.
Down the inside, 3 wide into 4.
Huge mess. Look at them. 5 cars on top of each other under a blanket. You can't see these 2 cars race against each other anywhere else.
GRIDLIFE Touring Cup action at its best, folks. How do you like this?
When GRIDLIFE Touring Cup began in 2019, there was a lot of aspirations of going to some of the greatest racetracks in North America, but I don't think any of the drivers nor the competition director, Adam Jabay, ever even envisioned being here at WeatherTech Raceway Laguna Seca. This is the season finale for GRIDLIFE Touring Cup, race 1 of 4, about to begin from this legendary racetrack in Salinas, California. Hi everyone, I'm Kyle Heyer, joined by Greg Creamer. Greg, this is the manifest destiny of GRIDLIFE finally coming to a conclusion here, all the way on the West Coast with GRIDLIFE Touring Cup, our single class sprint racing series that has been so much fun to watch these last couple of years.
It is just an exceptional series, and it's righteous, isn't it, that we're here at this venue. A mecca of West Coast motorsports, has been around since 1957, and this is a very, very special place. And we're able to come out here. And the cool thing is, we've had that core group of about 25 of our full season people have committed to and made the trip. But we got a bunch, almost 15, I think, brand new guys to this championship.
Yeah, now we are double filed up, and we did not take the green, so the tail half of the field was not formed up, and so I'm going to bet that we're going to go back around and take the green flag next time by. Now, the reason why this could be, Greg, we got a lot of new people here in this field that are not quite
yes.
up to terms or familiar with our processes here, so this is going to be a learning experience for everybody. We don't get more time because of this. We're going to have to re-rack, restack, and go again with a slightly reduced time. But this, again, is our single-class sprint racing series, GRIDLIFE Touring Cup. We're double filed up here, Greg. In just a moment, we're going to go through our starting lineup, which is going to include a handful of old and a handful of new drivers. But on the front row, it's going to be Matan Rosenberg in the 484, alongside Matt Waldbaum in the number 90. It's Tony Marchev and Jason Saney in row number 2. Andy Smedegard, Eric Jensen in row 3. Ben Thorne and Eddie Nakato in row 4. Row 5 is Michael Hilo and Julio Crispin, Greg.
And in the next spot, it'll be the 272 of Larry Moore and Alex Audi. And then it is going to be Vitas Aronauskis starting in the 13th spot in the number 144. Justin Ross in the number 47. Starting in the 15th spot, the 246 of Oscar Jackson. 16th, the 527 of Jackson Jensen. Starting in the 17th spot, the 173 of Anthony Dominici. Starting in the 18th spot, the 410 of Shukla Salil. Starting in the 19th spot, the number 40 of Jeremy Boyson. And rounding out your top 20 starting spot, the 207 of Adam Wood.
Then it's Peter Zhang in the 28. He starts 21st. 22nd, Nicholas Seneford. 23rd, Adam Bao in the 806 Honda. 24th, Fiona Liu in the number 333. 25th is George Kustumbartis. 26th, John Borchelt in the 128. It's Jarek Javier in the number 29, who starts 27th. Alexander Taradelas Newell in 28th. Then Rob Fuller and Ben Lynn, the rest of your top 30, Greg.
And starting at the back, the number 888 of Dai Nguyen. Then the 149, starting 32nd, is Jonathan Lugood. Starting in the 33rd spot, the 353 of Mark Sedang. And starting 34th, the 51 of David Ruzinski.
Well, it's time to go racing here in GRIDLIFE Touring Cup at WeatherTech Raceway Laguna Seca, all the way in Salinas, California, from its humble beginnings at Mid-Ohio Sports Car Course 5 years ago. Matan Rosenberg and the number 90 of Matt Waldbaum, they are chasing a championship. They will not get it, but they will battle for a win in California. Here we go, under late afternoon skies. Coming to the green flag on the legendary front straightaway. There it goes. Green flag flies, and we're racing at WeatherTech Raceway Laguna Seca. GRIDLIFE Touring Cup is underway. Jensen looks to the inside here as Ben Thorne comes up the inside. We're 3 wide. Waldbaum stuck in the middle.
Oh, and a big move up around the outside as well by Saney, and doesn't quite get it done. Has to tuck right back in. But you're already seeing, Saney trying to make it 3 wide and ran a little wide. You're already seeing the magic of GRIDLIFE Touring Cup, folks. You've got all of these different types of cars, engine swaps allowed, all running in the exact same class. Ooh, nice lunge there.
That was Ben Thorne popping out of line on Saney. Tony Marchev went the long way around of Waldbaum at turn 3, and they're still side by side for second place as Rosenberg tries to run away.
And I'll tell you what, Rosenberg right now has been given the gift, hasn't he? All those guys scrapping behind him. Waldbaum, beautiful outside defense, and hangs on to second. That's allowed your pole sitter Rosenberg to scoot off.
Yeah, and so right now it is Rosenberg out front, then Waldbaum, Marchev, Saney's up there, and then, of course, it's Ben Thorne. What a phenomenal start he has had, 7th to 5th. Michael Hilo pops out of line on Julio Crispin. Adam Woods wide at turn 6 as they head up the hill. Watch out for that gravel trap, Greg. It's closer to the track than you think.
Absolutely it is. You can see that lead by Rosenberg right now, but then that pack, Smedegar and Thorne also looking really aggressive up into the corkscrew. I'm keeping my eyes on Andy Smedegaard in that number 212.
Oh, Thorne's way
wide.
That rainy curve. He kept that thing on track just a touch in the 166 Advanced Auto Parts Civic. That was a wake-up call for sure. And then there's that battle for third. Marchev and Jason Saney in the 73, his first race back since Midwest Festival in June.
And, yeah, you can see right there Smedegaard trying to get down and underneath and make a move right there. I just think he's going to be the guy as this race unfolds. We're going to see him pick up some steam. But problem is, wow, Jensen, well, he put that big V8 in that FRS to good use.
Yeah, he motored by Smedegaard there, but Andy way later on the brakes into the Andretti hairpin on the outside. That was a great defense here. Still side by side deeper in the field. That was Eddie Nakato alongside Jackson Jensen. Good battle there as we make our way up into turn number 3 now. And Jensen and Smedegaard, that was a pretty sizable battle down the front straightaway there. The FRS motoring by and then getting just lit up on the brakes by Andy in the 212.
Well, and that's all part of the horsepower versus weight, right? Big power in that LS swapped FRS, so it's going to run heavier, so it's not going to be able to brake quite as late as that S2000, and that's what promotes some of this absolutely superb racing here. And look at that run. Turn 5. This is turn 5. It is now the most important turn on this track because it leads up this climb. Exit is 6 right here. You get as much of that exit curve, but you don't want to put tires too far onto that green strip. And then up into the corkscrew.
Yeah, the 47, the blue BMW, that is Ross, who is Justin Ross in the 47, new here. That car doesn't have a lot of aero to lean on. He's right ahead of Julio Crispin, I believe, in the 911. The number 911 350Z. A lot of numbers to throw around there. They tried tricking me with that, Greg. Didn't work. There he is.
There he is. And great looking car, and you're absolutely right. Really, really low aero downforce on that car. Slippery in a straight line. Problem is here, there's not a lot of straight lines, and you're in these corners for a long time, so downforce definitely can help out. So he's got his work cut out for him at this stage. And as you said, Crispin all over the back of him.
Yeah, really strong run here in his first ever GRIDLIFE Touring Cup race is Ross in that 47, up to 10th place. In the background, I was keeping my eye on a handful of other cars that we should. Oscar Jackson in the 246, he was alongside some battles in the background in the K-Swap FRS, and now into turn 3, Julio Crispin trying to go the long way around to the 47. That didn't work, and Eddie Nakato watching to pick up the scraps.
And up front, just to let you know, folks, Waldbaum has just set fast lap of the race, and look at the gap he has closed on Rosenberg.
Yeah, and we got a lot of time left to go. In the background, I just caught a glimpse of the 166 of Thorne battling Smedegaard, so they're continuing their fight. Actually make that P5 actually, as they head up the hill. Looks like Eric Jensen has fallen back into the clutches of Hilo on the run to turn 6.
And then Moore and Ross, and both of them up in the top 10. Great to have them, I should say, in this championship here. But I wonder if Rosenberg went out too hard too early and maybe just lit those tires up a bit too much at this stage, as Smedegaard pretty relentless on Thorne right now.
Yeah, you see Nakato also on the brakes into the corkscrew, was winding around on the brakes there, trying to get the thing slowed down. Actually, no, that was that Ross? No, that was it Moore in the 272, I believe. But here's Smedegaard all over the back of Ben Thorne in the Advanced Auto Parts Civic into turn 11 here. Good battle here for P5.
Absolutely, and then you Jensen, Hilo, as you talked about, right there. the black FRS, and that red number 224 right behind him, the Nissan, also really stout racing here. And it's interesting watching Andy Smedegaard. He's really a very smooth driver, isn't he? And up in front of him, Thorne is really throwing that car around a little bit, and that can really bring maybe Smedegaard back to Thorne here pretty quickly if Thorne torches those tires.
Yeah, Hilo throttling up, trying to keep Jensen in his sights here, and he's doing a good job having Jensen drive in the rearview mirror. Eric's son Jackson is back in 13th at the moment, so father beating son on this occasion so far, but they've gone back and forth quite a few times in their runs together since Jackson started racing last season. So great to have father-son duo here battling once again. Here comes Hilo, though, Greg, into turn 5. Couldn't quite get that look. That FRS is just stout in a straight line.
It really is, and the thing is, I think the pressure from Hilo, Jensen has had to up his game, and they have run down Smedegaard and Thorne. And I'll tell you what, more absolutely flying in the number 272, coming up on them in a big hurry as well.
Turn 6, side-by-side, Crispin on the inside. Room given there. I can't. Are they 3 wide on the inside?
They were.
They're trying. They're 3 wide there for position with Crispin, Nakano, and that was the 47 of Ross. That was wild there.
Watch for him here, and they've settled it a little bit here.
Jackson Jensen right into the mix, and the whole group behind him for about 14th. Alex Audi, Vitas Aronauskis is in this group. What a great battle here, but a big logjam behind Julio Crispin and Justin Ross in 10th place right now.
And Ross right now under big pressure. Yeah, right there you see him dancing on the wheel. And you were talking about Eric Jensen and his son Jackson. Oh, problem there.
Vitas Aronauskis, I think, on the inside there. And it looks like he'll keep rolling. That's great news. It is Vitas. And look at this mess on the front straightaway. Yes. Nakano is through. Here comes Jackson Jensen. He was 13th a moment ago, trying to improve his position in his C6 Vet. And Crispin on the outside through turn 1 and into the Andretti hairpin.
Yeah, clearly Justin Ross had something go wrong there because he just lost 5 spots. And I don't know if he overshot. Look at this. They're side by side through the Andretti hairpin.
Yeah, that was wild stuff, and he's still chasing it. I wonder if he could have a tire going flat. He's really wrestling that car, or he just has the tires greasy after a couple laps. But right now, he is on a mission. There's Oscar Jackson, by the way, that FRS in tow. That's a K-Swap FRS. Right up into the mix there for that electric battle for position.
Ooh, late lunge there.
That was not going to work. That's more in the 272. And here's Nakano on Crispin into 5. Late lunge there.
Yep. And the problem is when you turn in early like that, it oftentimes slows you on the exit because it tightens that radius up a little bit. You didn't lose too much that time, but you don't want to make a habit of that.
No, certainly not. And through turn 6 now, this time they're all nice and orderly, like about a half a lap ago. Up the hill towards the corkscrew. Great battles, though, fiercely fought as they make their way around. And we're running low on time as well. You have to start thinking about when that white flag and the checkered flag is going to come out here at WeatherTech Raceway Laguna Seca. Tight pack over the crest.
Yeah, absolutely. And Walbaum still has fast lap, but Rosenberg has responded now and has stretched that margin out by another half second back to over a second here.
There's checkered, Greg.
There it is.
Over. So Rosenberg, Walbaum, Marchev, and Saney, they were very tight together, 0.3 apart. And that was a great battle for position there as the rest of the field swings back around.
Absolutely. Then it's going to be Smedegaard snuck around Thorne on that last lap, picks up that 5th spot. Thorne 6, Hilo, who was right in the wars in 7th, got around Eric Jensen, and Jensen 8th. Moore and Crispin complete your top 10.
Yeah, wow. And it's tricky to see that white flag come out because it's under the gantry there. So we'll try to get an update from timing next time so that we don't miss that for the rest of the weekend. But what a great battle we had from 10th on down. Adam Wood dropped a couple of positions here as the rest of the field streams on through.
Short but fierce, this
yes.
one. And obviously this is all part of, we had a 3+ hour delay. The Pacific layer of fog moved in and just backed everything up today. So everything running a little bit tight here. And I don't know about you, but I'm going to have to talk to the people that do the entries here.
Yeah.
Because I think it's grossly unfair for us to have Eric Jensen, Jackson Jensen, Oscar Jackson.
Yeah, what is up with that?
All within like 10 cars.
Oh,
it's just not fair.
They're really trying to mess us up today, but we will go down trying.
Go down is the key there.
George Gustambardis up to 20th place he started outside the top 20, so a good climb there. In his first return to GLTC since 2021. Fiona Liu up a couple of spots.
Yeah,
Ben
great
Lynn,
drive for the, nice for her to be able to race in her home state.
Yeah, Ben Lynn up into 30th and on the lead lap as well, so making progress there in the number 104, the MR2. But what a great race that was. And I
Yeah.
think, it's just a shame. I think we were brewing some more action in that 10th place
too.
battle. And
Oh, yeah.
we get those full-length races tomorrow. It's going to be a blast.
I think so too. And just to add to our consternation here, we also have a guy named Audi driving a BMW, and we have a guy in a Nissan running the number 911.
Oh,
I mean, it's
gosh.
just
They're really wrenching on us.
We've had a very short day, and my head already hurts.
Oh, well,
But how
tomorrow's gonna be a
fun!
lot longer.
Oh yeah, yeah.
So, all right, let's take a look at our results here in just a moment's time, and we'll show you how things panned out. Matan Rosenberg gets it done. I think he's 19 now. It's that when he first entered GLTC, we were reading off the number of months he'd been on planet Earth. Now it's at least years. But Matan Rosenberg, Matt Waldbaum, Tony Marchev, Jason Saney, Andy Smedegaard, your top 5. Ben Thorne, a top 10 in the 166. That's his best finish ever in 6th place, and he continues to find speed. Jeremy Boysen up to 18th place. Nick Steniford from Colorado up in 19th. I mentioned Kuston Bardis earlier. A lot of new names, though, in this top 10, top 20, which is great to see.
It is, and that's kind of one of the reasons that we came here. For the full season guys, to give them a chance to race on such a legendary West Coast venue, but also to get the new people, to give them a taste of what this championship is all about. And I think they've got a feel for it now, and they get to do it 3 more times tomorrow. And I think they're going to be loving every minute of it. And of course, the only thing that we're really sad to see here, in a sense, is that Jeremy Swenson, who is here, but his car didn't make it due to a mechanical issue with the transportation, and so he's here watching. And he would have been a pretty decent addition to this field.
Yeah, I think so as well. And for Matan, he's got his family here. Again, we mentioned the cousins that are here this weekend. Just really cool to see the family, especially so far from home for him, to have family regardless here with him this weekend. So that's always great. Matt, of course, has a lot of friends around him. And Tony Marchev, I don't know that he's gotten a podium before ever, Greg. That is an unbelievable drive for Tony Marchev. The amount of improvement in performance that we've seen Tony have is just unlike nothing else we've seen.
That's what I was going to say. Is this year has really, and particularly the latter half of this year, has really been a breakout for him.
And his first race ever was at Heartland Park last year's final. So he's only had a season to improve, and he's just done a phenomenal job. So well done to him, Greg. We got to wrap things up here from GLTC because we got another Model 3 Challenge race coming up here in just a moment's time. So we're going to step away for just a moment, and we'll be back with Model 3 Challenge here from GridLife.
Ready for anything and everything. Learn more about our entire line at falcontire.com.
When you come to pit road, all 4 of you stay in the car.
Need that fire truck.
Hi, I'm Chris Forsberg, and I want to tell you about Valvoline's Flex-Fill Gear Oil, which is designed by car people for car people. It comes in a pouch, which is specifically made to work in tight spaces, and it saves me time versus the old pumping method, so I can focus on things like keeping my drivetrain running clean. Unlike the pump, the Flex-Fill pouch leaves no wasted oil and no wasted time. Plus, it keeps my garage nice and clean from any spills. All you gotta do is put the nozzle where you need some oil, give it a squeeze, and you're ready for the road. That's why I protect everything in my garage with Valvoline. Valvoline, trusted for over 150 years.
Well, the first day of motorsports action at GRIDLIFE Laguna has been a frantic one with a 3-hour delay from early morning marine layer fog. The skies finally cleared around 11 a.m. We've jammed all of the motorsports action in as fast as we possibly can to get it all down. We're down to the final moments of the week, I should say of Friday. We've got plenty more tomorrow from 8 a.m. to 6 p.m. Pacific, but we've got Model 3 Challenge up next, and this is their first heat of the weekend, Greg. This is where the competition starts and the points start being allocated. And again, for those that aren't familiar, Model 3 Challenge is a new format. It's sort of a blend between racing and HPDE, where you're pointing drivers by in a particular zone. So it should be an interesting show to watch with these electric vehicles at their limited performance here, Greg. But glad to have you back.
It's great to be back, and this is a really unique format with this sort of hybrid, competition idea here. And in a way, and I used this description earlier, it bears some similarities to DRS, the drag reduction system in Formula One, where if a guy, as you get to a DRS zone, is within a second, then you get that opportunity to go by. Well, kind of the same thing here. It's based on car lengths behind, but if the guy in front looks in his mirror when you hit this passing zone and the guy is clearly within that number, he has to point you by. So that lets you get through, and then you can take off and chase down your competitor up front. So it's racing by hugely minimizing the risk, and that's the whole idea here, so you don't have to have these cars fully kitted out.
Yeah, so just again, we've got qualifying that sets our race 1 grid. We've got a pace car for the outlap here. The competitors must maintain a 5 to 10 car length gap to the competitor in front of them during the pace lap. Once the pace car pulls into the pits, the lead car can set the pace up to 50 miles an hour. Once the start-finish line is crossed, the race is on. You're free to engage in competition as long as they do not reach the indicator cone before the car in front of them reaches the start-finish line. That indicator cone, of course, is that detection zone that we're talking about. No passing will take place in the detection zone on the first lap, so that's notable.
Okay.
The first passing opportunity will come at the second detection zone prior to the front straight. So, of course, we've got the detection zones at Laguna Seca between turns 4 and 5 and between turns 9 and 10. And then the passing will occur on the front straight and the Rahal straight. So that's where the passing is, and then the detection zones. The passes are called in to the nearest flagger, and there will be a blue flag signified. That is in this case, compulsory. You have to give the spot up.
Yeah, that's interesting. As rarely is a blue flag a mandatory command flag, but in this case it is. And of course, this is going to really require patience, because if you have a driver who's really quick, who had a problem in qualifying and is starting back in the pack, or has an early off, they could be significantly quicker than some of the cars in front of them, and they have to wait until they get to that pass zone. And so you can't rush things, and you have to really be able to maintain your focus. So it's a different kind of challenge, but it's one that is really crucial to do here.
Yeah, I think they're testing all the pyrotechnics down there on the stage. We do have music this weekend, T-Pain, and a whole bunch more. If you want to look at the full music lineup, GRIDLIFELaguna.com. You can head over there to view the full music lineup here for the weekend. As the Model 3 Challenge cars roll off for their pace lap, there's a good look at our Hyundai Elantra N pace car here this weekend, with the graphics put on by the Zielinski crew over there in the paddock. So big thanks to them as we make our way around the course. Now, I just got a text from Adam Jabay, Greg. I just mentioned how crazy this day was.
Yes.
Maybe not for us, because we started on the tail half of the day. We had a whole half day before that. He said, if you need a quote, I'm always looking for quotes.
Of course.
This was the busiest 7 hours our motorsports team has ever had. And I believe that, with how rapid fire it's been today, and how actually, frankly, on schedule it's been since the change earlier in the day. And, of course, a big kudos to Adam Jabay and his team and the racetrack for working with us on what has been a really challenging day to get started here at GRIDLIFE Laguna.
Well, it's always something that can happen at this venue as you get that Pacific layer come in. But this time it just stuck forever. And I talked to Adam earlier in the day, and I said, how you doing? He said, terrible, terrible. He said, this is the worst thing. And then he and his crew have now pulled off a near miracle. Because, as you said, once we got sort of a revised schedule and said, well, if it starts at this time, we should be good, we've been able to stay remarkably close to it. And you might think, well, what's difficult in that? Not so much, other than you have got to – they are running session after session after session. So they have to be so on top of what's happening, what's coming up, and what's finishing that they've just done an absolutely stellar job.
So with all that aside, we've got our action coming up here, our grid. Now, there's another piece I didn't tell you about the gridding here. The top three are inverted. So Tony Barber will actually start in third in line, but the pole-sitting car is the 333 of Tony Barber. Then it's Drew Peterson in the 158 and Stephen Case in the 243. He qualified third. He will start in front.
All right, well, that's going to be really interesting to see here. And then starting in the fourth spot, the 16 of Rudolph Zhu. Starting in the fifth spot, the 119 of Jesse Tong. Sixth, the 745 of Chad Martin. Seventh, the 821 of Moses Balian. In the eighth spot, the 670 of Morgan Hyam. In ninth, the 608 of Seth Patterson, rounding out the field. In 10th, the 173 of David Schlesman. And what makes this interesting as well is these are really heavy cars because of the big batteries that they have, but they are mounted very low in the chassis. So they handle for a very heavy car really, really well. They accelerate incredibly well because of the instant-on torque of these all-EV motors. And you might think, all right, well, you're going to be pounding the brakes, right? Well, to a degree, but they also use regenerative braking, which helps recharge the batteries, that actually can really help slow the cars down. And so they actually get around here really effectively.
Yeah, so remember that no passing will initiate in the first detection zone on the first lap. The first passing opportunity will be at the second detection zone, which is on the Rahal straight prior to the first front straight. So that'll be your first passing opportunity. So that 4 to 5 run, you're safe for now. But when they hit the starting timing line here, we are underway, and there goes the green flag for Model 3 Challenge. Heat 1 here for the weekend, and out front already with a nice launch there is that Stephen Case car, the 243. Tony Barber right behind Drew Peterson into the first of many corners here at WeatherTech Raceway Laguna Seca, Greg.
Yeah, and Tony, considering where he is right now, he and Drew Peterson were incredibly close in that qualifying run. I mean, literally separated by 4 100ths. So you would expect these two to put in a really good run. They were about a half second quicker than Stephen Case was, but Case now has the luxury of running at the front and being able to defend a little bit. And, at this place, with these kind of cars, it's going to be tough to run around the outside of people here, obviously. You have to wait for those passing zones. So he's in a good spot.
Yeah, if you were keen-eyed there, you would have seen the cones on the right-hand side of the track on the run-up to turn 5. They are there. That is the distance that they need to be within. And in that detection zone, that will initiate the passing up the hill towards the corkscrew, though, for the first time. And very soon we're going to get to our passing opportunities here. But not quite there. On the run into the corkscrew is Peterson on Case down the hill for the first time.
And if you're within that range, Kyle, do you have to let the guy through?
Yes, if you get especially if you get the blue flag, that is the signifying that you must give up the position.
So two guys, I'm just curious because two guys battling that are.
Oh, the leader! Ace off track there at 10, really pushing there. Greg got the tires in the dirt. Go ahead.
And Peterson almost dropped him on the exit of 6 too. But like the two guys up front here who were battling, clearly he's going to be within that passing area. But they're battling at this stage. It'll be interesting to see, does he have to let him through? Now, you said no passing on the first lap, well, so now the racing starts.
And now they're good, so he's really tight into the Andretti hairpin here. So I'd imagine when we get to that detection zone between 4 and 5, it's going to be game on between these front two. Peterson, the quickest of the laps on the first time around.
So it's interesting, isn't it? Because, if you're close, the guy's got to almost let you through, and then you need to gap him in a huge hurry here.
Right.
But if you're running really close speeds, we could be swapping time and time and time again here, couldn't we?
So the cones, they're going to pass by right there. There's the detection zone, those two cones that they passed.
Yeah.
Very, very tight between these front two, but not quite tight enough, I don't think. And then the Rahal straight, which is the run-up from 6 to the corkscrew, yeah?
Yeah.
That's where our second detection zone is. And it's tight between these front two.
It is.
As Barber's got some Zhu, Tong, and Martin all packed in behind him, too.
Boy, those top two have just taken off, haven't they? And surprising for Barber, how quick he was to suddenly be 4 seconds adrift to these two guys up front.
Yeah, that's a big surprise to me as well. Now, remember, these cars do run basically a power pullback module that they can detune the cars to a particular power standard so that the standard performance and the full performance cars can compete together in the same category here. There's no classes. Everyone's running together despite the dual motors and the all-wheel drive, rear-wheel drive, that sort of thing. The all-wheel drive cars will have an advantage because they've got a lot more grip in a lot of instances here. But Case and Peterson still battling it out here up front.
Yeah, they have just checked out. Really remarkable, the margin that they built here. And Chase now, after Peterson had closed up on him, Chase responds, resets his fast lap, and that margin has stretched out a little bit. But, boy, Peterson really good on the brakes into Andretti.
And Barber has dropped now 3 spots to 6th place on that time of asking, so he was getting run down. We saw that entering 6th. He's dropping
He's got
further.
a problem.
I think he does.
Something is wrong here. And, I mean, he was the top qualifier, didn't start on pole, but was the top qualifier, so problems for him.
Yeah, and you know what's really interesting is that these cars I have almost never seen have mechanical troubles at all. They're so heavy, they're overbuilt in so many ways. They're very strong cars as far as suspension and braking and all of those things, but something clearly amiss as we go back here and watch Tong and Zhu. Again, you have the option of running aero as well, which it looks like Zhu is doing. I think that's Martin in behind, the 745. Indeed it is. Yep. And no aero on this car here, but up the hill, these 3 are pretty tight and tidy here, 3rd, 4th, and 5th.
Yeah, and Tong not really running any aero either, is he? So it's interesting. And the aero is nice, but obviously when you got a car that weighs 2 tons, it's getting pretty good stick.
Yeah, right. I mean, I think that's the thing is you can play around with balancing these cars out because I don't know that any one individual modification is going to make anything an overdog. It's really just the power and weight that's really at play here for the most part. So down through Rainy Curve, the leaders separated by about a second. Tong, Zhu, and Martin all within the same second or so. As Tong, big wiggle there through turn 10 and keeps it on course though.
Yep. That was he is absolutely driving it hard right now. And in case you're wondering, folks, our cameras are not doing anything special. It's just this rich West Coast late day light is just making parts of this track absolutely beautiful right now. And then this big field, 10 of these Teslas going at it here.
Yeah, and Peterson closed in on the leader that time, a couple tenths of a second. And I'll tell you what, Zhu is doing the same to Tong here. Real tight line through the Andretti hairpin. You can do that a couple of different ways, as you pointed out earlier in the broadcast, Greg. But for now, it remains about 5 car lengths between these two.
And then, sizable margin behind them at this stage. But these guys have just taken off. And here we go through 4. Now we're coming up to that first detection zone. And this time, boy, did Case get out of turn 4 incredibly well. Really roll some speed here.
Yeah, and again, we'll have to see what the timing is at the next stripe pass, but the third place battle between Tong and Zhu could very well pop off here.
They're close, aren't they?
They've dispatched Martin a bit, though.
Well, they did. They dropped him just a smidge here. He was about 2 seconds behind them at the start-finish line. Looks like maybe even a bit bigger than that right now as they come up the front. I mean, up onto the Ray Hall Straight, which, again, is one of those potential passing zones, but nobody close enough just yet.
And again, I have to wonder where, like through turn 6, you really have to get a good advantageous run. I think the easier pass zone would be the one from 4 to 5, but Peterson hasn't been quite close enough to Case to get it yet, although he's not hounding him as tightly as he was the opening few laps.
Ooh, big. He missed the apex. Tong did big time there, and that could really hurt him.
Oh, Peterson did swap with Case.
He got him.
So he will sweep on by the stripe that time through. And tell you what, if Tong wiggles any more, that Zhu machine, the 16, is going to be right in the picture here.
Yeah, I mean, he missed that apex. White flag. Yeah, he missed that apex by about 3 feet, and that doesn't sound like a lot, but that can really change the arc after the apex to the exit of the turn. And, boy, I'll tell you what, under braking, Zhu is really a demon, isn't he?
He's got 1 lap left to do it as well, so he's got to get up and go. 2 more passing opportunities, but Peterson takes the lead away on the final lap of asking and put 0.8 of a second on him as well.
Here we go.
Oh, boy, that was a big commitment there into turn 5. Holy cow, he's wide.
Both of them. pretty wide here. And now up into 6. And, you know, with that heavy weight, you hit that compression up here. I'm not sure what that does to the suspensions. It can't be friendly.
No, I would imagine not. But, again, like I said, they're so strong because they have to be. These things are just wildly overbuilt, actually, when it comes to suspension. You really don't have to do a lot. You can put aluminum A-arms on them and things for this series, but I don't imagine that that would gain you a ton. Again,
No.
You're going to save some weight here and there. But down the hill, rainy curve for the final time. Peterson, what a battle these two had. They was chasing him down lap after lap, but Drew Peterson, after starting in second, wrestled his way by Stephen Case, coming to the white flag, and here he comes up onto the front straightaway, and checkered flag is out for the Model 3 Heat 1. And Peterson, Case, and Tong should be your top 3 in that order as they swing back around to the start-finish line. There it is across the stripe there. As in the background, there's our third, fourth place cars, Tong and Zhu, and just not quite close enough to get that overtake done.
Yeah, the question's going to be in that last corner, did anybody make a mistake? Well, we're following our winner around right now, so we're not going to get a shot of that. But, again, Case just stayed in position. Barber had his problems and fell off, and Case just, hanging on there. And then Peterson was right there, and then was it the last 2-3 laps, he just put in a couple of absolute flyers and was able to get through.
Yeah, nicely done, though, by all the drivers there. Kept them all on course, and the last few are working their way through the corner this time through. But in this order, Drew Peterson, Stephen Case, Jesse Tong, Rudolph Zhu, Chad Martin, top 5, Morgan Higgum in the number 670. Then it's Moses Balyan, David Schlesman, Seth Patterson, and then Tony Barber will start up the rear of the field. And, of course, for tomorrow's race, the grid order is based on the previous race results, and, again, with that top 3 inversion. So that will mix things up again at the front tomorrow. Well, we're going to take, a break. Again, this is going to wrap up our action here for the day from GRIDLIFE Laguna. But, Greg, final thoughts here on day one. It was a frantic, quick one. We've got a long day tomorrow with a lot more racing to do.
Yeah, basically compressed an entire Friday into an afternoon and did a really, really good job of it. And what it did was, for our GLTC and our Model 3 competitors, it just made the races even more, absolutely fast, furious because they were shortened a little bit. And think about it, for our NOS Energy TrackBattle Championship, guys, it was pretty much a precursor to what Podium Sprint's going to be like, because really in their qualifying session today, they only got 2 absolute flying laps. So that's kind of, an indication of what it could be like if you make Podium Sprint tomorrow. But the bigger story is racing here for this swing to the West Coast for the first time with GRIDLIFE, even in this sort of abbreviated Titan day, it's been some absolutely brilliant stuff, and it just is going to be just wickedly good tomorrow.
And we've got so much on the show for tomorrow. Just a brief telling of what we're doing. Tomorrow morning, 8 a.m., Model 3 Challenge. Again, we kick things off with their next race. Rush SR is right after them, then Track Battle qualifying 2, Drift, Rush SR, GLTC, Track Battle, then Lunch, then GLTC, then Drift. It just goes on and on and on and on. And we're done at about 5:40-ish Pacific tomorrow. So that's what's coming up tomorrow. Before we step away, though, we'd like to give a thanks again to the partners and people that make it happen. Coverage of GRIDLIFE Laguna is brought to you by Hyundai. GRIDLIFE Live is powered by Hyundai N. Hyundai N, never just drive. And Falcon, the official tire of GRIDLIFE Track Battle. And Eibach, race springs engineered to win. Thanks, everybody. That'll do it for Friday coverage of GRIDLIFE Laguna here at WeatherTech Raceway Laguna Seca. All day tomorrow, though, 8 to 6 Pacific. We're streaming all the racing, all the time attack, all the drift. We'll see you there.
Born on the track, bred on the mountains, raised on the podium, ready for anything and everything. Learn more about our entire line at falcontire.com.
Hi, I'm Chris Forsberg, and when it comes to classics and high-performance cars, Island trusts America's #1 racing oil, Valvoline VR1. It's built on Valvoline's long legacy in racing, so I can continue to build my own. With 2 times more zinc than the industry standard, VR1's high-performance formula is tested on the track and trusted on the road to ensure your engine is protected from metal-to-metal contact. And I use it so much, I even got my car on the bottle. That's why whether I'm racing or cruising, I protect everything I drive with Valvoline. Valvoline, trusted for over 150 years.